Well, this just in. Barbara and Peter Senior Weber have officially disowned their son Peter and have adopted Hannah Ann into the Weber family.
I kept wondering. I'm like, have they been DMing? Have Barb?
Well,
also the fact that Barb checks her DMs first of all.
Does she?
She said that last night. She said I've gotten a lot of love in my DMs, but also like
she checks her DMs. Also, did you see that she commented on Kelly's latest photo from the...
No, what did she say?
She commented on Kelly's latest photo from... By the way, okay, hi broads. What in God's name?
This was like one of the worst finales ever. And I don't mean that like it was a bad finale. It was just like horrible.
It was the most uncomfy thing I've ever watched on television. Everything about it was uncomfortable. It was heartbreaking. It was terrible. Peter, we stood by you this entire season. People were tearing you down.
Only for you to disappoint us after we've stood
Bekah
by
and I
you.
were the very few who stood by you most of the entire time, and you have let us down. How dare you, sir?
You entitled little asshole.
How dare you do that to these women? How dare you do that to Hannah Ann? That goddess.
Okay.
Bekah and I officially wanted to say, we were messaging each other last night watching it, and I was like, Bekah, I feel so bad for anything negative that ever came out of my mouth.
So wrong.
And we were so wrong.
We're usually right.
We really are. I feel pretty good about our judge.
You know what's crazy is Rachel Lindsay said the same. Rachel Lindsay was like totally like, this girl is bad news from the beginning, and then now she's in the same. She's like, couldn't be more team Hannah Ann.
We've heard though, remember that they were attempting to make her the villain. So I think they kind of were trying to manipulate us that way.
I think
anyways,
I think they also had no inkling that shit was going to go down the way it was. And also that people were going to side so hard with her. I think had they known that, she would have been the Bachelorette. If they could have vision into the future and see how that finale played out.
That finale was the best audition tape for a Bachelorette I've ever seen.
Ever.
That even beat out Hannah Brown's. Like her exit with it, where everyone was like, oh my God.
That almost beat out Bekah's. I don't know. I guess there was actually no way in hell that they could not make Bekah the Bachelorette. But that's something that I thought was crazy. Yeah. I was literally on Twitter and I was hashtagging justice for Ari after the kind of edit that Peter got from this.
Oh, I know.
And how he still came out looking semi-decent.
I know. Well, the fact that everyone was cheering for him in the finale.
I think people were like booing Ari.
It's unless this was editing and they were actually booing more like live and... Oh, no,
I don't think so. I don't think so. And this is why I think... Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's not like Women Tell All. Also, I think it has a big... People didn't feel an emotional connection to Lauren throughout the season.
Wow.
And I think that's the big difference is that people are obsessed with Madison. And I think that really changed things.
See, that shit gets me really mad because it's
it also could have been his mother too, who kind of deflected.
Barb really didn't help the situation. Hey girl, you didn't help the situation. But the fact that Ari did get that edit, or even not edit, that he had to own up to what happened, and Peter, because everyone loves Madison, didn't really
was sort of justified.
And then at the end, everyone was applauding for their love, and I was like, he just broke Hannah Ann in two. Okay, we watched him not know what he was going to do the entire season, and then does this. The thing with Ari, at least, like Ari wasn't flip flopping during your season.
Ari also was followed, Ari decided he wanted to be with Lauren, broke up with Bekah. Look, I'm not saying that he was right in any of this. I'm just saying the situation is almost a bit better because he broke up with Bekah, went to Lauren and was like, I want to be with you.
Yes.
And then proposed to her on the finale. He was serious about his decision. You mean he didn't send
Chris Harrison to go do it and act like he didn't know what was going on?
Like he was in junior high?
Like Peter didn't know that Chris Harrison was going and talking.
He actually looked pretty shocked when I think Chris Harrison literally just went.
I think
because production is because Peter said when he broke up with Hannah Ann, or not when, but after, he said that the Madison stuff was only a part of it. And clearly he had reached out to Hannah Brown. I think he was all over the place. I don't think his intention was to like go after Madison necessarily.
When Hannah Ann dropped the Hannah Brown bomb, I flew out of my seat. Like, that was a bomb. Again, on top of everything, yes, I didn't even think about Ari. Again, Ari it was wrong, it was horrible, what happened to Bekah was terrible, but the fact that Peter was that all over the place and he was still talking about Hannah Brown and Maddie and didn't know what he wanted to do, it's like, dude, come on.
Bye,
Peter.
Canceled.
Bye, Peter. We disown you like your family does.
Let's get into this
episode. We're going to adopt Hannah Ann.
Let's get into it. I'm so excited.
Oh, well, let's a quick little bit of housekeeping. Yeah. Number one, speaking of Hannah Brown, there are photos circulating everywhere with Hannah Brown and Tyler. What is happening? What is coming full circle?
Are these the only two options she has for men? Or the runners up from her season?
I think probably. I'm just was like,
what's happening?
Becca and I were talking.
Are Peter and Maddie going to break up and they're going to get back together? Like, good Lord.
Oh my God. I think that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen for sure. In a year's time, broads, Hannah Brown and Peter will be together and everyone will get what they wanted.
How embarrassing.
It's brutal. But I think we were talking about Tyler. I don't know. I mean, I think most people know about this, but Sweet Tyler's mom passed away, which is so terrible.
Only about barely even 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. So we were saying that maybe that's why him and Hannah are together. There's a familiarity there. I mean, she did... You know, obviously Tyler has been jet setting. He's in New York now. He's all over LA. He's with all these like famous women.
Yeah.
But Hannah actually met his family and met his mom. And so maybe there's a familiarity there for sure. And maybe this is going to be the beginning of a relationship for them.
Oy vey.
Who knows?
Oy vey.
Who knows? But unfortunately for many, many, many of our Bachelor couples, we will not be seeing love blossom for them at Stagecoach nor Coachella because Stagecoach and Coachella are officially pushed 6 months.
6 months? Shut up.
Yeah.
Well, not officially. I can go with the baby.
They're not officially... You're like, oh, thank God.
Great.
Now both the kids will be old enough.
Well, you know what? This is better anyway. Coachella will be in November. It'll be way less hot.
I know, but
everyone wants to go to Coachella Valley at the end of May.
The people like to wear their tiny outfits.
It's like 110 degrees. It'll still be hot in Indio in November.
Yeah, it's like 70 something,
which is perfect.
Oh no, in November, yeah, I guess it still is pretty hot, huh?
It's gonna be like the high 70s. It's gonna
Y'all
be great.
Can still wear just glitter and glitter only,
of course.
But we're not gonna get all that extra drama.
Thank God.
So you know that Bachelor, like the producers are going to set up some sort of like week away.
No,
you know
Jess,
they are.
What if the coronavirus is really, what if they can't do Paradise where they normally do it in June? Because Mexico, there's been outbreaks after the whole cruise ship fiasco.
Oh my God.
Paradise could be jeopardized.
Oh, well, this is important and terrible. Oh my God. What if
they might just move it. They might just do it in like San Diego or something. But I know Mexico has.
Yeah. Maybe they'll do it in like Hawaii. Is there an outbreak in Hawaii? I don't know. But I can't even. So Stagecoach, Coachella, not officially canceled, but pushed back. And I mean, the only reason that they didn't officially cancel them is because of like money and artist promises and all that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah. Yeah. So here we are. It's a whole new world.
And what if oh my God.
I know. It's like there's a lot of questions.
Everything's just going to take place in a quarantined hotel.
Also, are they going to cancel the senior version because the coronavirus affects the older people the most?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's not safe for them to be jet setting around the world.
There's no way that the seniors can jet set. They have to stay in one area. And also, are they going to I know. It's literally jeopardizing a lot. And the fact that we're talking about it in reality TV is just horrible. We're like, people are dying, but it's just like, we're worried about the reality TV. But it's crazy. It's just like, this is shocking. Like, this is picking up speed and it's crazy.
What a tangent.
What a tangent. But just so all you all are informed. Okay, well, before we get into this, good Lord, we have a lot to say. Good Lord. Let's chat.
Yes.
Because in case you didn't know, it's Women's Month. And in honor of that, MeUndies wants to take a moment and shout out all the women that inspire them every day. Yes, that means you broads.
I love that.
I know. This Women's Month.
And I love MeUndies.
We love MeUndies. This Women's Month, it is their mission to motivate all the women around them to embrace who they are and to show up as their full, unfiltered self. MeUndies believes self-expression is a powerful thing and wants to encourage all women to live that every damn day. We love MeUndies so much, by the way. And not only do they practice what they preach, and also have the best underwear. They're the best people over there. MeUndies is great.
I love
them.
Literally every pair of MeUndies that I have, but my all-time favorite is the boy short. It's boy short.
The boy short.
The boy short. I have like 10 pairs. They're my go-to for lounging around the house. And I kid you not, the second I get home from school, it's pants off, MeUndies boy shorts on, and the level of comfort, I swear, I love MeUndies. I didn't believe it until I tried it for myself. I had heard the ads.
I think sometimes the ads, you think, oh yeah, you hear it. And you're kind of like, okay, I'm hearing it on every podcast. There's a reason why everyone loves them.
They're the softest, most comfiest. They're the best.
They're the best. And MeUndies are all about comfort, so you can just focus on being the boss you are, not feeling uncomfy in those undergarments all day. These undies are size tested on real bodies and offered in a range of sizes from extra small to 4XL. And like B said, they're also the softest things to ever grace your booty. That's because they're made with micromodal, a magical, sustainable, soft as heck fabric made from trees. Yes, trees. That make your bits feel like they're floating on a cloud, for real.
To get 15% off your first order, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/chatty. That's MeUndies.com/chatty for 15% off plus free shipping for first-time orders.
You guys, I have a problem I have to admit to. I have commitment phobia, especially when it comes to perfumes. Some days I wake up wanting to smell summery and floral, and other days I feel like a woodsy axe in the forest type vibe. I love to be a mystery. I love to mix it up. I never want anyone to smell me and know who is coming. The problem is fragrances are expensive, so traditionally I have had to suck it up and stick to one choice until the bottle ran out. But then I started buying through Scentbird, and now I have more options than I could ever dream of.
Scentbird is a luxury fragrance subscription service for perfumes and colognes that has more than 600 designer brands for you to choose from in 30-day supply sizes. So I'm like you, Jess, even if I can commit to one scent, I don't want to commit for the next 8 months because who knows how I'll feel then. The seasons are changing.
Who is Bekah going to be, really, you know? We're on the same page. And because the bottles are in convenient 30-day supply sizes, you can grab a couple so you can have a variety depending on the occasion. Right now, I'm using Burberry Brit for a clean day-to-day fragrance, and then switching between, like I've talked about, Viva La Juicy and Daisy by Marc Jacobs for special occasions like date night and dinner with friends, because I like to live my high school truth all over again every single night. With Scentbird, the options are truly limitless.
And with an exclusive offer just for Chatty Broads listeners, you can get 30% off your first month today. So that's only $10 for your first fragrance. You just got to go to scentbird.com/chatty and use our promo code chatty for 30% off your first month. Again, that's SCENT bird.com/chatty to sign up and use our promo code chatty to try your first perfume or cologne for just $10. Sign on and smell amazing.
Okay, so, going back to Kelly. Kelly is in the building.
Oh, yeah, of course. Okay. It's like they had to make a point of it because everyone was so pissed about it.
Honestly, and then Chris Harrison starts it off by being like, okay, it's going to be important that Kelly's in the building, never addresses it. And someone commented on Kelly's photo, why was it important that you were there? And she goes, I have no idea. You tell me.
He just makes shit up on the spot.
It's
I hate
insane.
him now. I hate him after this episode. I hate him.
I was very angry at Chris Harrison. Also, okay, so what Sweetnums, aka Barb, commented on Kelly's photo that she posted right after the episode aired. Sweetnums commented, "The most beautiful, elegant, classy, intelligent, stylish girl in the whole world. You were and will always be my fave."
I'm confused. Sounds like Peter. I think that's where he gets it from.
I'm like, Peter even said, Barbara, choose Hannah Ann or Kelly. Who do you stand, Barbara?
Dude, I even wrote down, I can't remember where it is, but Peter at one point said in the hot seat with Hannah Ann, like, you're the most beautiful soul I've ever come across. I'm like, what about the girl you're dating?
Like,
you
so
guys
what
are
about
all
Maddie?
over the place.
Like if my significant other who took me through the wild ride that Peter already did, then all of a sudden was like, oh, let me address my ex, who in my opinion is the most beautiful soul that's ever graced the earth. I'd be like, so what do you think of me, you asshole?
Also, why do you gotta say the most? Just say like, you're such a beautiful soul. That's so much more appropriate.
Calm down with the superlatives, Peter.
Exactly.
It's too much. Everything's always too much with Peter.
His mom, you'll always be my fave. What?
Yeah. What
about the angel on earth?
And she wrote too, the most beautiful, most elegant, classy, intelligent, stylish girl in the whole world. She got to throw stylish in. That was my favorite add-on.
Well, speaking of stylish, the whole family was in black in mourning over the situation.
Absolutely. Jim was wearing some sort of leather jacket. Also, Neil Lane was in the house for literally no reason too. Tried to make us think that he was going to propose. Yeah, it was like Neil was like,
I'm like, we're mugging that guy on the way out. What's he got in that case?
Neil was like, I emerged from my cave 5 months ago, and now you summon me back, Lord Harrison.
Look at my tan. Don't you believe that I see the sunlight on a regular basis?
Barb and Jim are not pleased. And Barb, not only have they brought out their morning clothes, Barb is rocking a new "May I speak to the manager" haircut because she has some things to say about
volumized
ABC.
hairspray in place.
Her hair is full of anger, frustration. ABC, they did her dirty. They did her son dirty.
How dare they?
They did Hannah Ann dirty. They did everyone dirty.
They did her, yeah.
You know, in her opinion.
So
I'm quoting Barb.
Well, let's it starts out with Peter casually going for a run in the middle of the Australian desert summer.
Yep, you know.
Mind you, the middle of November in Australia is like July in Las Vegas. And he's going for a fucking run.
A quick jog. Honestly, he doesn't even feel the heat. He's just thinking about
just trying
Madison.
to run out.
He's trying to run out all of his feelings. Yeah, he's also probably trying to clear his head of his mother's sobs, just echoing in the background of his brain.
And he's giving himself like almost this whole pep talk. Like it's like he's speaking to the camera, but he's really just trying to convince himself the love you have for your person is stronger than anything.
It was so clear during this portion, and then also when he's like later on when he's about to propose and he's like, yes, he was trying to like
hype himself up,
psych himself out. It was giving me very much like Wolf of Wall Street energy, like banging on his chest to like psych himself up. Like, I have
doing some quick lines.
I have to propose to someone. Apparently that's his his opinion.
And he said during the live interview, which was what I had said yesterday, about how, it is difficult because you are trying to grieve and then also trying to celebrate at the same time. So I do feel for him. I made
note of that.
Yes.
Because you said that yesterday.
And I do feel for him. But yeah, I mean, obviously he shouldn't have done what he did.
Well, we come to find out the way that he's talking, I'm assuming he's going to say Maddie when he's talking about that true love will rise above it all, and that he's, put this person through so much and blah, 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 and it's true love. And I'm like, he's going to say Maddie. And then he says Hannah Ann, and I'm shocked.
Neil Lane crawled out of his crypt to meet Peter, and you knew there was a lot to come because they're speeding through the whole ring process.
Speeding through. Well, also, I was just like, oh my God, poor Peter. How is he going to choose between 5 options?
That's
he can't handle that many options. They're like, you're going to give this guy of all people
square
5 options?
Oval cut. Which one?
But I loved it because he literally, Neil Lane pulled out the first ring. He's like, that's it. I love it so much. He like knows himself.
That's the one.
Don't give me any other options. I'm going to regret it. I'm going to take one back. Mid-proposal, I'm going to return it. Well, then Peter then FaceTimes Hannah Ann's dad.
Which what?
Yeah.
So I guess they've changed that, like you were saying this season, where they're not asking until they're actually going to ask. I guess is what's happening.
I don't know because
but that made me feel very uncomfortable having an inkling of what was to come. I was like, oh geez.
I know. Well, I was asking for the blessing. I mean, he gave it, and he did say, the dad did say, I 100% trust my daughter in her decisions. So, but he also wasn't like jumping up and down, but I also don't get that energy from Mr. Sless. So you can't quite read how he feels about the situation.
Well, her gown, she looks gorgeous.
Absolutely stunning. I love
the champagne silk look.
I love when one of the top 2 busts out kind of a wedding type dress.
Fun fact, this is one of the only times during the season, so the very first night there's makeup and hair artists, not stylists, but then you meet with a stylist and pick out your dress for the final rose ceremony.
Oh, okay.
So that's like not necessarily one
that's
you bring
not
along.
On you. Okay. And then they get their hair and makeup done. Well, she was looking absolutely stunning.
She was looking great.
Her eyes have never looked more beautiful.
No, she looked and it's so funny because I just like have forgotten how far we've come since the beginning of the season with Hannah Ann, because she used to just bug the shit out of me with her eyes, and now I just see a beautiful woman in front of me.
I know.
She's blossomed.
I do feel like one of the beautiful parts about this franchise is that you do truly, you journey with these people.
Yes.
You start off really not liking certain people, and then by the end you realize that you're in love with them, and it's a great life lesson that, you know what, sometimes people may bother you, but they may end up becoming your best friends one day. Also vice versa.
True.
Some of your favorites are going to end up sucking. That's just life.
So she's, debating. Last night Peter told me his heart was being pulled in two different directions, and I was listening to her interview, didn't get to finish it, on Bachelor Happy Hour, and she was saying that something in her intuition was telling her that she wasn't getting the full story. She didn't know what was going on.
And we know we have to trust Hannah Ann's intuition, because that shit is fire.
And she said that's why she was like really hesitant. She said she felt like she was missing some puzzle piece of what was going on. And
it's very clear that she was shaken.
Yeah.
That was not editing.
The scene of her laying out flat on the bed.
I was like,
she said in her happy hour interview, she's like, I know I should have just stayed laying on that bed.
No.
I've never seen her so like not put together.
I saw someone post a meme of Peter laying down and Hannah Ann laying down, because then later he's laying down, and they're like, this is not what two people who are about to get engaged should look like.
I took a photo of it. She looks like she's laying in her grave. I know. Oh man.
Oh, but she was struggling. And she said that she was having, because Peter had just told her that his heart was being pulled in two different directions, which I do feel like is a very typical thing that the Bachelors say in the final two. But clearly
something else going on.
HA has got some serious intuition, some major psychic abilities, and she knows that there's something that's not being
amiss.
told.
Something's amiss.
Something is amiss.
Now, this is where I got one of the many parts I got fucking pissed off at CH. What the hell was that I just said? He shows up to the ceremony. I'm not positive she's coming. What does that mean? She's not coming, or she is? I'm not positive.
Also, how dare you? Now, you brought us a very dramatic season, ABC, granted, but how dare you tease that clip, okay? And he's literally saying something.
Like, I'm not sure if she's coming.
And 5 minutes later, it's like, actually, she is. And that was
I got a picture of him when he said.
And he pops it. Is his jacket off? Yeah. He's got his
sleeve up against the wall, and he's like, turns out.
Hey, bud, just FYI.
It was like a sitcom, because he's like, I'm not positive she's coming. And then 5 minutes later, he's like, so turns out she is coming.
Oh, no, full Family Guy cartoon, like, by the way, like, popped in a window. It was like so stupid. It's like, okay, as if these people haven't been through enough. You're literally looking at a man who has physically been injured. So many of these women are heartbroken. This guy clearly is already such a hot mess, and now you're going to throw this at him, which you obviously know she's on her way. So everyone knows she's on her way. This is such a load of bullshit.
Right?
Yeah,
don't say shit until you know for sure she's not coming. We have a lot
of problems with Chris Harrison in this episode. And the other day we spilled some tea about Chris Harrison and how we felt. And by the way, I happened to see that a certain person who is dating Chris Harrison after that episode came out unfollowed you.
I bet a bunch of people are sending it to her like little shit stirrers. All you all are. Fuck you guys. Sending it to her. Just so you know, Bekah's talking about your boyfriend this way, and I noticed you followed her, and I just thought you might want to know.
She does not have his best interest in mind. I was dying. It did please. I mean, I
this is the irony about that whole thing is that we're watching Chris Harrison from the TV show, and obviously we all talk shit about like how we see people portrayed on the TV show. Do I hate Chris Harrison in real life? Like, no, I don't give a fuck. I don't know who he is. I literally just know him from the fucking Bachelor.
Also, that's like what we all do. That's what Lauren Zima. We all just talk. We all joke. We talk shit. And I love. Get all buttered. Well, I think I love Roses and Rose. Is that what it's called? I'll watch that shit.
Yeah, I was on a couple times. It was so fun.
She's great.
Yeah, I like her too.
I know.
Whatever.
But here we are. Anyways, so just a fun fact I noticed.
Yeah, it's like, do I hate Chris Harrison in real life? Like, no.
I mean, I don't know him.
I don't know him. Am I going to continue to pass judgment on him through the TV show? Of course, like we do every week on this show.
Do I think he was being a little shithead this episode? Yes, 100%.
Well, the production.
Do I think he's still a daddy? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, still think he's cute.
It's not like it's just Chris Harrison orchestrating this. Obviously, we're talking about production as a whole, who was really sticking their little finger in the pie in this episode.
But Papa Chris is the face of the company,
yes,
so you're gonna get it.
He is, though. He is like the face of production, and that's how it goes. Now, Peter says, does she know Madison's not here? And Hannah Ann talked a lot about this on the show, but then also in the interview too, of like, he glossed over what happened and should have fucking sat me down. I mean, she really went into it. Yeah, I forgot on the live.
Well, we talked about it last episode. It was like, why, when he sat down with her, or even their entire date, not tell her what was going on? I would feel so upset, and just like, I would feel so vulnerable and uncomfortable afterwards, knowing that I was putting myself out there and he was talking about his heart being...
It's selfish.
It's very selfish.
And here's actually the thing. Madison and Peter are perfect for each other, because I was really unpacking, like, I was like, what is bothering me about some of these scenarios? What bothered me with Madison is that she waited up until the very last second to tell him about her deal breaker shit, because she, I'm sure, was afraid if she brought it up too soon that she was going to be eliminated. Yep. And it was a fairly selfish move to wait that long, because, you know, it was ultimately in her best interest, because she didn't want to get kicked off prematurely because of their lifestyles not meshing, which she knows deep down is the issue. And then Peter also is waiting until, I don't know, breaking up with her to tell her the full story about his feelings with Madison. No, being afraid that if he wanting a proposal so badly that he's not going to be fully honest with Hannah Ann and tell her straight up where he's coming from. It's just like, it's selfish bullshit.
Wow, you just preached straight out of the word of the Lord.
It's selfish bullshit. God's word.
Yeah.
It's just like not putting the other person before yourself.
No.
And it's like just wanting what you want, which is to continue in the relationship, even if it means making the other forcing the other person into a situation. Yeah.
Nope. So, no, when he says that, though, does she know? And then Chris Harrison is like, not unless you told her. No. Oh my God. And then Peter, I feel like I'm going to pass out right now. And literally, I thought he like went pale. He's starting to sweat. If he would have fainted, it just would have been, honestly, the cherry on top. I was a little disappointed.
Then he's back in his room, and then that's when Chris goes, so I just found out she is coming.
Oh my
So get back out there, bud.
I just, like, the level of drama queen of Peter being strewn out on the bed with, like, cold cloths on him, being like, is she coming? I was like, this is next level now. Like, okay, Peter, you know what? I understand that the love of your life actually just left, like, 3 days ago, and now Hannah Ann is leaving, but get off the bed. And we didn't hear him call for his favorite producer. They didn't have, I don't think that they included that part. Like, what's her face or whatever. It was ridiculous.
It was super ridiculous. So then they're about to meet, and I was just like, wait, is he about to propose? Is that really what's about to go down right now? I was in disbelief.
I couldn't.
And also, so when she gets there, you know, insert heartbeat of them meeting, all that. Normally, don't they start with her giving a speech? That happens almost every time.
That was off. The music was literally tortured music. It sounded like it was from the Gladiator soundtrack. Also, the environment, it was very hearkening back. It was like this rugged terrain. Which was, if you remember, like how Hannah Brown's was with Jed. Remember we were talking about how weird the setup was for theirs? It was like, you know, pots and like rocks, and it was just kind of rugged and weird.
Which they've sort of been like that in the past. Like, I remember Ari's with Bekah. They were in Peru, and the others cute llamas. But, oh, no, I guess it was. Anyway.
It just feels like there's some ominous terrain going on, and I feel like they're, they know
you're starting
what's coming.
on rocky ground.
Literally. Oh my God, when Hannah Ann walked up to Chris Harrison, though, and literally just goes, "Hi, Chris Harrison." My heart just broke into our little child, our sweet baby Hannah, who's actually a badass, strong woman. Yeah, so like you said, she doesn't say anything. Very odd. Peter is beaming. He's hugging her like a koala. I'm just like, what's his deal? He
don't know.
I mean,
I really don't know.
For someone who is about to end this engagement that he just created, who's going to question basically his past relationship with Hannah Brown, all this stuff, it's like, wow.
He is super nearsighted.
You really enjoy the high.
He is super, super nearsighted. Mm-hmm. And he can only see what's in front of him or what's running away from him. And that's just kind of how he operates.
He seems kind of, now like that I'm thinking about it, kind of seems like a sweet version, like a romantic version of a fuck boy. Like a fuck boy just wants to slide to woo you until they can have sex with you. And Peter seems like he wants to woo you.
Oh, really? That's not happening with Maddie?
That's true. But he's like the romantic version, right? He's going to woo you, and then he's going to like say, "I'm in love with you." And as soon as you say, "I'm in love" back, he's like, "Oh, I'm kind of bored. I'm going to go line dancing."
I think it's time for you to go now.
I think it's time to move on to the next one.
Well, he is the master of the tease, because both in this speech and his speech with his parents, he is just, because he starts out gushing about their memories.
Yes.
Then he says, "But I have to follow my heart." Then he just says, "Madison."
And Hannah Ann's eyes just drop.
And then then he goes, "Left 2 days ago." And then he beams. He goes, "Left 2 days ago." And
it was almost like a smirk like a kid when you have a secret and you like can't help but you smile.
She left
2 days ago. And then that's literally all he says. Madison left 2 days ago. And then that carries on into a full Hannah Ann, you're
thoughtful, passionate,
blah, blah, blah. Will you marry me?
My heart chooses you forever. I love you. And I got goosebumps. Actually, I really did. And she goes, "You love me?"
Oh, it hurt me. It hurt my body. I was so sad for her, because also in that specific point, when she brings it back later and says, "You threw that at me in a moment where I'm trying to make this decision, and you like shoot that at me." Like, of course it's not fully registering. Like, I love you. I want to accept your proposal. You tell me that now. It's almost like, it was almost like a David Blaine type of trick. You like distract me and throw in something else.
Bizarre.
It was wild.
And yeah. And I mean, at this point, not knowing how everything was going to play out, I was just like, man, like, I don't think they're going to stay together, but I wish it could just end here. Why can't it just end here?
Yeah. And honestly, if I would have been watching this, and this would have been towards the very end of the episode, so I was like, oh, this is who he stays with. Obviously, we knew it wasn't, because it was at the very beginning of the episode, and everyone was the music was so ominous.
There's still
and it was
an
so
hour
much
40
drama.
to go.
And if it's like Peter doesn't know how it's going to end, you're like, okay, obviously this isn't going to just end smoothly. I would have been irritated at the way that Peter did this, and I would have been so sus about the fact that this probably wasn't going to work because of the way that he jumped from Maddie to Hannah Ann. But it would have been a sweet. Well, part of it would have been a sweet proposal.
No, it would have been. I think it would have been.
There were moments. It just knowing what was coming, I couldn't fully detach. I was reading into every little thing, But yeah, I can't even. Oh, and then after he proposes, shook Hannah Ann. Again, all I keep going back to is a few weeks ago. This wasn't even an option in any of our brains. Barbergate was not about Hannah Ann. He was not proposing to Hannah Ann. Chris Harrison coming and dropping a bomb on him. I thought it was friggin' Victoria showing up. People thought Kelly was pregnant. We literally just were like, there's no way it's about Hannah Ann. It was always all about Hannah Ann. Crazy. But then he says to the camera, He's like, I want someone to want me just as badly as I want them. And he's echoing that from what he was saying at the very beginning of the season, which I remember when he would say that, it was always kind of like, I get what you're saying, but now you're at this point with what happened with Maddie, and you're hearing him say that, you're just like,
yeah, that was weird. That's not the reason
to, that's not the correct reason to choose someone to be with, is because they want you just as badly as you want them.
No, that's like that, you know, when you talk about your friend, you're like, she just like dates these guys because they like her.
Yeah, exactly. Like 100% when Evan and I got married, I liked him a little more. For sure. Now the tables have turned. No, he worships me. But
he's desperate.
He's so desperate now. But for real, like I remember even getting married and having this like really real energy. Like, I think I need him a little more than he needs me.
I mean, there's this whole like perfect 50-50 thing is also kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
it ebbs and flows in your life.
That's not real relationship.
No. Sometimes you need someone a little more, and sometimes they need you a little more, and life changes and it's organic.
Needs
and
change, like situations.
You know, that's not why you should choose someone to marry you, is because they want you just as badly as you want them. Because even though I know what he's like trying to say, it's almost like just a window into his psyche where you're like, this is problematic.
It just didn't feel like the right thing. Didn't he say that with her right by his side?
Yes. And it's a weird thing to say. It should be like, this woman is the love of my life. I couldn't see myself with anyone but her.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. But for the reason that you're proposing is because she wants you just as badly as you want her.
Yeah,
it's kind
I know,
of
I agree.
Weird thing.
Okay, we have to keep going because I want to get to the family.
Okay,
this is like what I'm itching for throughout the whole episode. I'm gonna be like, let's go forward because I want to talk about Barb.
Well, we have the we have the Stars Born preview, the Listen to Your Heart preview. Again, my actual nightmare. It was way too long,
and I also didn't know what was going on throughout the preview.
Evan was sitting there watching it with me,
piece it together,
and he was just like, I don't understand this concept at all. Like, I'm like, none of us do. Welcome.
It seemed like there was 20 different people, and I just couldn't keep up.
I have no idea what's going on.
I'm excited. I know you guys are like, oh, that recap it. It's gonna be shit. I'm looking forward to watching every episode and recapping it. Of course, I'm gonna watch it.
Oh, you don't think that my blood pressure went crazy when I saw like two nude people in the bed and he had his guitar in bed with him? I'm like, this is everything I can't wait to hate. Very excited.
It's going to be wonderful.
Nightmare.
Also, did you notice that there was like there seems like there's hotter guys than are usually on the Bachelorette seasons?
Girl, that's because you have a soft spot for musicians. Okay?
I guess so, but they seem like more.
No, they're hot.
They seem like more. I guess, yeah. Actually, I was playing this out in my head because I was like, they seem more normal, and I'm like, no, they just seem more LA. Like that's what it is. I'm like, they seem like more normal guys. Yeah. But do you know what I mean? Like they actually have like styles.
Yeah,
like things.
Well, Evan had a thought.
Like they're not all personal trainers.
That's
so I
true,
think
right?
that's why I'm like.
Evan had a thought, which makes sense to me. He's like, you know what? I bet they're gonna do.
What?
He said they're gonna cast one girl, like one country girl, one country guy, one hip hop girl, one hip hop guy, and kind of put them in and you have that feeling right away, like, oh, I'm going to connect with my musical partner and have them do duets. He's like, and then all of a sudden, one week they'll throw hip hop artist in with hip hop guy artist in with alternative girl artist. They have to perform live. They have chemistry. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. And then that's why all the drama. They're probably gonna mix, music genres and like whatever. It's gonna be.
I could see that for sure.
And
I think it'll be fun.
I think it'll be fun too. But again, my nightmare, but a fun nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay. So back in the studio.
Barb's face when Chris says, what will Barb have to say? She is like, fuck you.
Oh my God.
Fuck you.
For real, the Barb cam all night was such a blessing. Like, thank you so much for giving us that. It was really, though, hard for me to also take notes and try to watch the Barb cam simultaneously with what was happening.
Okay, I'm also going to say this. I know, like, I hate using this term now because it's just simultaneous. I mean, it's just synonymous with annoying. But devil's advocate, the whole country seems to be taking this one slant, which is really interesting. Like, yeah, Maddie, strong. I mean, everyone's into Hannah Ann, and absolutely, who could be against her? I don't see any argument against that. She nailed the whole night.
Goddess.
It was perfect. Everything was. But then there's also this thing of like, fuck Barb, which like I get why people are saying that, and then everyone's also like, yeah, Maddie, a strong woman. So I'm just saying right now that like I may go a little harder in one certain direction than maybe more of the neutral that I'm actually at. But I just haven't really heard a lot expressing this like, let's look at this other side of this.
And we like to do that.
We like to do that. So I'm just saying that. I'm not saying like, I don't know. I just want to make that clear that usually when people feel like we're going hard or attacking, we're really trying to unpack, like, let's look at the other end of this, since literally everyone else is saying this about these people. Let's fucking go in the opposite direction and see what happens.
We are analysis bitches.
Look,
we
guys,
like to analyze.
We're not sheeple, okay?
We're nightmares to live with.
But for real, and be friends with. But let's be real.
Family.
The Bachelor always seems to have this narrative that everyone automatically swings to. And so I think it's worth saying, let's pause for a second. Why are they wanting us to feel this way? And what else might be happening?
And it's always
here?
worth exploring the other side. Because there's always two sides to every story.
Two sides to every story.
I think there are 15 sides to every story.
I mean, there's a bunch of different camera angles and you've got editors involved. I mean,
there's a lot going on.
There's at least 3 sides, because you've got each 2-person side, and then you've got the editors who are including or not including certain information.
And we're working with some very, very intelligent people who have been doing this show for forever, and they know exactly how they want to set up certain things for future episodes that are going to be then successful for them. So, it's important.
So he goes to see his family, and of course Barb's already about to have a heart attack. Then when he walks in the door, she's going, Bud.
We missed you so much. Your smiles, your hellos. I'm like, you saw him a week ago. I miss your smiles, your hellos, your smell, your gorgeous tiny hands. They're so perfect. I could not believe the reaction. I could not believe the reaction.
I mean, she's got to be losing sleep over what went down last week. This is all she can think about. It's consuming her mind. She's meeting up with her girlfriends and she's like, please pray. I want to say this, by the way, about the episode the other night, because I saw a lot of like memes, tweets, etc., saying like, oh, Barb's going to talk shit on Maddie's faith, but then say that God told her. Okay, Barb never talked shit on Maddie's faith. By the way, she said you're very religious, and Barb was not about her lifestyle was about no partying and no sex. Yeah. That was the part that Barb was not about. Barb wasn't attacking her faith or attacking her religion. No. That didn't happen. So when people are saying that like Barb was attacking her Christianity, then was saying God told me, no, Barb was just like, you're very religious, and then she said, I'm very spiritual, which is what I hear as you're into religious rules and like, black and whiteness, and I'm not about that.
Did Barb 100% use the faith piece to manipulate her son? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But she wasn't attacking Maddie's faith.
No. And people were saying that like, really a double standard, Barb, that now you're going to talk about what God told you. No, because she said she was spiritual and she just wasn't about the what do they call it? Rule. I can't think of what it's called.
Rules and regulations. The 10 Commandments.
God's holy word? Is that what you're talking about?
The Holy Spirit, Bekah?
No, I'm trying to think if it's like legislate. I can't think of what it's called, but basically she's not into the
Lamentations.
She's not into the rule parts, and that's why she was making this thing about like you're very religious and we're spiritual. Yeah. And you're an Alabama Christian, we're Westlake Village Christian. Yes. So let's make that difference known. Anyway, I just want to say that because that was really bugging me that people were saying that. And I was like, Barb didn't attack her faith and her religion. Yeah. She made it very clear, I don't want you telling my son he can't have sex.
Yeah. Oh, I also wanted to say, which I completely forgot, when we were talking on the episode yesterday or 2 days ago about Peter living with his family, I listened to pieces of an interview with Barb on Bachelor Happy Hour, and she was like, he's got plenty of money, he's fine. And she was saying a lot of it is a cultural thing. And I fully forgot that Barb's Cuban and that the family's Cuban. And so she was saying that it's a cultural thing, but then she ended up wrapping it up with saying, and you know what? I'm finding him some really great homes right now. Or she said something about like her looking for his real estate. And so then I was like,
she's like, I found a great place 3 blocks down.
Right. But I did want to say,
I can walk over.
But I did want to say, we were talking about like, how can someone live, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I totally understand that in some cultures, like that's a thing. But I think in Peter's situation, maybe that's part of it. But also I think after we see the past 2 days that I think Barb really has her hand in Peter's life quite a bit.
He's drawing out, telling them what happened.
Oh my God. The level of drama.
She's holding hands with Jack.
Oh, the handhold? That's my most favorite.
And he is drawing it out. He says, but I can't remember at what part.
He cannot wait to tell his family. He cannot wait.
But he can, because he is leading them on. And
she is wringing her hands.
Isn't it Peter Sr. who goes, who is it?
Who is it? As she's holding, did you notice as she's holding
Jack's
hand and then her husband's leg, Evan made me rewind this because he was like, did you catch that? Again, this is the first episode I've ever seen. It's so involved. It's crazy. This season is doing that to people. People are just like swarming.
Kim Kardashian.
Kim Kardashian is shouting out Hannah Ann. Lady Gaga shouting out Hannah Ann, all this stuff. She's holding Jack's hand. And the second that Peter starts to say, you know, I know that like you guys, I respect you, love you so much, but I know that ultimately I had to follow my own decision. Barb literally lets go of Jack's hand and her face goes from like to this. Full, just like the line face. And her hands are now both in her lap. Fully lets go of both men and is just like, I'm going to attack you. She went in full attack mode.
And then he pauses and then tells them, I propose to Hannah Ann. And Barb's acting like she won the lottery. She's about to faint straight up.
It was like watching an exorcism happen. Like, like Maddie's spirit was being exorcised from Barb's body, and Barb's just like, like hitting. It was just like, what am I watching?
They're all holding crosses out to her.
It's just like,
Which I was, before seeing this scene, fully convinced that they're watching him get back with Maddie on a TV screen.
Oh, I thought it was an angry thing too. I thought it was an upset thing too, because the level of intensity is something I've truly only seen.
Watch out, the exorcism got your hair. Look in the mirror.
Oh gosh. Oh Lord.
I mean, she's just like, what a beautiful day. They get on FaceTime. She's like, how's our daughter? She goes, how's our daughter?
How's our daughter? Barb is simultaneously getting an exorcism, orgasming, weeping, birthing, and their future baby.
This was a spiritual experience.
She was literally giving birth to Peter and Hannah Ann's baby.
This was... No, she was birthing
baptized.
A daughter. That's what was happening. She's like, this is my daughter. I never had. Which then makes you wonder too. I'm like, I wonder if they tried to have more children or something. I wonder if she always wanted a daughter.
And she looks so much like her. Oh,
she does.
gosh.
I was looking at those old photos that she's posting of herself on her Instagram.
Oh, you're totally right. Maybe.
I definitely did. Yeah, but I wondered that.
Yeah.
But how's our daughter?
Oh my goodness. Oh no. And it was... The energy was just so different, though, with Peter. Even when he was FaceTiming, he wasn't like
sad.
He wasn't like baby girl. Like, it was very much like his heart is elsewhere. But he was getting his little high by telling his family and seeing their pleasure. Mm-hmm. And then Jack was just like, "We love you, Hannah."
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Jack apparently has
a girlfriend. I know.
Serious girlfriend.
I figured that out too when I was doing a little Instagram stalking of Barb. I'm like, oh, yikes.
Our bad. Whoopsie.
Sorry.
But yeah, I couldn't even believe it.
So then it cuts to Peter in the hot seat, and Barb has a very sober face now.
It is a sober face. Before we get into that, should we take a moment? Because, girl,
otherwise we're not going to be able to stop.
We are about to buckle up for what is about to occur, because this is when this shit started to get hectic.
Yeah, you want to talk about Care Of?
Oh, let's talk about Care Of. Okay, so if you've been following us for a while now, there's a good chance you've heard us rave about Care Of vitamins and supplements, because god dang, we love them. So naturally, when they announced that they were releasing a hair, skin, and nail line, Becca and I were so excited, because it's exactly what we've been in search of from a company we already love and trust.
Yeah, the beauty supplement industry is really overwhelming, and it feels like every website or TV doctor or blog has something different to say say, and I use and trust Kara. I've been using them for over 2 years, and I've seen the results. I started taking the hair supplement pack, and from start to finish, the process was clear and concise. And the reason being is that I get weird, patchy, like hair loss stuff. With
hormones can be quite a thing.
Postpartum. Anyway, the ingredients are thoughtfully curated and the process is clearly explained so you know what's going into your body and why it's going into your body.
Totally agree. I also love that their products dig deep, looking at underlying causes of hair, skin, and nail growth like hormones, sleep, and digestion. They do all the work for you. All you have to do is take their online quiz and you instantly receive your scientifically backed recommendations based on things like personal goals and lifestyle. Well, you know, Mama has been wanting some of the luscious locks back. The hair needs some help, and also my nails thin as paper because I am a consummate acrylic nail user. I can't help it.
You've got me on board now too. I know.
It's an addiction, but my nails are paper thin because of it. Help me care of. And since I started taking the Care of beauty packs, I can actually tell the difference with my nails, especially I just got this new set of acrylics and they had to take off all the acrylic nails. And my nail lady was like, oh my God, they weren't quite so thin. They had a little bit of girth to them again.
To just fall off.
Maybe I'll just grow them out naturally now. Just some really long natural nails.
Curly.
Oh yeah.
There we go. For 50% off your first Care of order, go to takecareof.com and enter code CHATTY50. And that's 50% off your first Care of order, half off by going to takecareof.com and enter code CHATTY50. 50. CHATTY50. Yeah, okay. I actually get gel builders.
Oh,
not acrylics, which I like.
Those are nice.
They're not quite as harsh, I guess. I don't know.
I just know that
I really like that color.
Thank you. I just know years of the acrylics. Your girls' nails are practically non-existent, but not anymore.
Remember when Kaylin had that color? It was like the cute bubble gum last season. I went out and got the same color immediately. It was so cute.
It is so nice, right? Okay, so yeah, back in the studio, Barb and Jim are crying, like the tears are in the eyes. She is wiping away tears after having watched this FaceTime interaction.
Well, and Peter's in the hot seat and he looked to me like swollen and sleepless and not well.
I don't want to call out anyone, like what's anyone's doing, but it looks like he's had some late nights partying lately.
Kind of,
which I don't think Madison would be happy about. But that's what it kind of looked like. He reminded me of if I go kind of on like, you know, I'm doing not a lot of sleep. I'm going out late, hanging out with people, drinking, you know, having some partying. I get that majorly like puffy, that puffy kind of face, get like the dark circles under the eyes. But again, it could just be that he's like insanely stressed because of the dynamic that's been going on with his family since he started talking to Maddie again. Because he lives at home.
I know. And you know, there's love does different things to you. And this kind of love between them is just, it's going to tear them both apart. And you see, I mean, Madison, of course, looked beautiful for the live show. But, oh my God, when Chris Harrison came to her, not that she looked ugly or anything, I was just like, who is this? Like my mom immediately goes, she looks thinner and like paler.
She said, she's like, I can't eat.
And then she said that. Her hair was looking more brittle. She just didn't look like she did when she was on the show. Yeah. And not that she looked bad, but I just noticed
you could
changes.
Well, it's the stress was all over her and all over Peter. And you could see it in like, again, like you said, her sit down with Chris Harrison and then Peter in the hot seat. It looks like whatever's going on is taking a toll on both of them.
I'm very confused what is going on, which we'll get to when they actually sit down, because there wasn't. Did we see them hold hands? Did we see them even make any kind of physical contact?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening. We'll talk about it. Okay. I'm really not sure. In fact, I have a lot of questions, so maybe you can answer them for me.
Yeah, sure. I'll try.
So yeah, Peter is in the hot seat and
he says,
oh my God, the moment everyone's clapping when he's there and he's like, they still love the pilot. And Peter goes, they do. It's very weird. It just, everything made me feel super uncomfy.
I didn't catch that, but that's really cringy.
It was really cringy. And then Chris Harrison basically asks him, were you able to fully move on from the Maddie breakup? And this, by the way, is before we see that he's breaking up with Hannah Ann.
And he said those feelings just don't disappear.
And Barb hates Peter right now. She is fuming.
Oh, just wait, because she couldn't even look at him.
No, she couldn't look at him. She couldn't look at him. She hated her son so much. She couldn't even look at him. Now, I saw all these people posting about like, how dare you treat your son that way, like on public television or whatever. Now, I have a lot of feelings about that.
I can't hide my faces, so I love my child, but if I am disappointed or upset, you're going to see it all over my fucking face.
I was going to say, and that's my thing.
So I'm going to give her that.
The verbiage that happens later, I feel like is very inappropriate for being on live national television, but the face thing, I understand.
What are you gonna do?
I can't help it. You'll never see me lie because you'll read it all over my face. I'll just be like, I'll tell you a lie and they'll be like this. Like you're lying. Or I'll be like, I'm not mad. You know, it's bad. And
she's also having to relive all of this, and it's like I give her a little slack on the faces.
She couldn't even look at him. And they had the Barb cam on her the entire time. Yeah. And my thing is, I bet she didn't know that the camera was on her the whole time.
She like looked at the camera though at one point, like looked into the camera. Well, maybe she
realized like all of a sudden, it's like, are you looking? But I doubt that she knew that through all of the sequence and all the scenes that the Barb cam was on her, because every once in a while you see her like kind of whisper to Jim and make comments.
Yeah, it was except though they have big screens in the studio, and I'm not sure. Like I think her face might have been mirrored in the corner on the screen like it wasn't ours.
I'd be really interested to know from people who are in the live audience if the Barb cam was live.
Oh yeah, that's actually a really good question.
Because part of me, I bet she didn't know. Or else she doesn't seem that like, I mean, well, no, maybe she is because she really went ham sandwich later.
Let's get into the breakup though. I'm sorry, I'm acting like I'm rushing through it, but I'm just like,
no, let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's do this. There's always something around the corner to talk about with this episode.
So Hannah Ann,
coming to visit Peter.
Is coming to visit Peter. Obviously, there's major issues the second she walks in. We know.
By the way, clarification on timeline. They got engaged in mid-November, and according to her on the podcast, this breakup happened very early February.
Which is a long time.
It is.
That's a long...
It's actually longer than Ari and Bekah's engagement.
Damn.
Yeah. They broke up like January.
Now, what I was picking up on is maybe, and again, maybe this is just editing, but with Ari and Bekah's, it seemed like they were more emotionally involved, like seeing each other and maybe talking more.
Yeah.
And because with the Peter and Hannah thing, it kind of almost was like, it sounded like they hadn't spoken in like a month or something weird. It was weird.
They said they hadn't seen each other in a month. And I was wondering if that was like part of his traveling schedule or like what was going on with that. I wasn't really sure. I was a little bit confused about that.
There was a lot of weird energy that was happening.
And I think maybe Peter had been more transparent about what was going on with him.
Yes.
And
well, we find out that he was telling her everything.
Yeah.
Which we all know how Peter can over communicate.
Oversharing.
It's like, you don't need to know all this.
Except that he maybe should have before
he conveniently doesn't tell her that Maddie's gone.
Interesting.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been a month since they've seen each other. He's like, they sit awkwardly and he pulls her leg up onto his lap. I'm just like, I didn't like the way it was making me feel. No. It was like, I knew the energy, and it's like when you're about to break up with someone, it was just, ugh.
Yeah. So they're acknowledging that it's been hard. Sure, Hannah Ann is like, I know it's been hard for both of us. Peter says that she's been the most amazing rock. I'm so thankful for blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but she's like, I want to continue to be that as long as you want me to be.
Yeah, I just need to know what's going on. Like, what do you want? Is that where you're at? And he says he's been honest about everything, which we find out later is...
at convenient times for him.
When it works for him, which we find out then later is Maddie and Hannah Brown and all that. He says there's no doubt that he's fallen in love, but he's struggling, and it's just
kills me to put you through this. I hate that. Blah 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 blah.
And then Hannah Ann says
she starts coming back with the fire.
Immediately,
almost
immediately. Also, I was just so like I felt so ashamed about my past breakups. I was like, damn, I didn't have those smooth words. I was just kind of like, all right, fuck you, and like running out like, God, I wish I would have had these locked and loaded.
When people were like, oh, she had months to rehearse, I'm like, well, not really. She actually said that, and didn't she say in the live thing that she was blindsided that he was actually, she said that, I don't know if she said this on last night's episode or on the podcast. I think it was on the podcast. She said that morning, because they had been talking through everything that was going on, and that morning they decided that they weren't going to break up. Like they had a phone call conversation and like decided that they weren't going to break up like that morning. By the way.
Oh my God.
So for people saying that she was like rehearsing this, apparently she was a bit blindsided by him being like, so I can't do this actually.
This is wild. This is so wild. Okay.
So she says like, when I said yes to you, I said yes to a partnership and us working through things together. And if you can't give me that love in return, that's not a relationship. She keeps talking. She says, I would stay by your side even if it killed me, but it has to be 50-50.
And then it was just like, it's always Peter. I never intended to give my heart to two people. I never intended to have sex with more than one person. I never intended to hurt you. It's always just like, I'm realizing at the beginning of the season, we were always super like, oh my God, we love how much Peter's always like, I hear what you're saying and I'm sorry. And I hear what you're, and I'm like, this is now becoming something that I am not vibing on. Because,
and he's always just talking about her like, you've never left me. And it's like, yeah, what do you have to give her?
Oh God.
So
she's crying. I'm crying.
Well, cause she says that she has a line and he's basically like, you've never left me, blah, blah, blah. You've never done this. You've always done this. And she goes, cause that's always what I've wanted in return. And I was just like,
oh my God. Oh my God. And then Peter tells her he can't.
I want so badly to give you my heart, my everything. It's what you deserve, but I can't do that.
And then when Hannah Ann, thank God someone said this. Has someone ever said this?
What, the first engagement thing?
Maybe I think maybe one other person has. But you know what? That's crazy. When she then says, you took that away from me, my first engagement. You took that away from me because I trusted you, and that is what you've continued to ask me to do. Be patient with you, have faith in you, trust in you. Like, and he took that away from her, and he took that away from her so just like nonchalantly.
And that's when Barb couldn't even handle it on this screen.
Barb couldn't handle it.
So
disappointed.
You know, I'm gonna advocate for Barb a little bit on this too, because if I was watching all this play out with my son, I mean, yeah, she's disappointed about it not being Hannah Ann and about it being Madison, but I would be so disappointed in my son or daughter.
Yeah.
I'd be so disappointed. Like, why did you propose to her then? Why did you make this girl believe that you wanted to spend the rest of your life with her, only to flip-flop back and then just lead her on, and then 2 months later just break it off? I mean, I would just be very disappointed.
And also, we don't know. Barb and Jim have been watching this season, and maybe some of their son's decisions have already been disappointing to them. And then the way that he's probably communicating with his family is like, Hannah Ann is the one that I chose. I'm in love. And then he did this whole thing. I knew I had to follow my heart and do what's best for me. So I chose Hannah Ann. And now I'm doing what's best for me again, which is what's breaking up with her. It's get a grip. It's just like, I would be super disappointed in my kid. I felt like he was my son, and I was disappointed. I was like, we were disappointed. Well, and that's the thing, like you're saying, we supported him this whole time, and it being my son. I mean, people are saying like, she should just support her child. And it's like, yeah, she can support her child, but also like, yeah, I would be disappointed and be like, I probably would be nodding along with some of the things that she was saying. Yeah, I would be like, yeah, she's right. I mean, he's 28. He's not a child. No. Like, he's a grown-ass man. Right. And yeah, like what is she supposed to... Here's my thing. It's like, again, I understand the whole level of like, hey, maybe don't do it on national TV, but I think now later in the episode within the whole Maddie and Peter dynamic, I have opinions. But in this moment with Barb, what would people have been saying if Barb would have been supporting her son through this Hannah Ann breakup? They would have been probably hating on her too. They would have been like, wow, your son's doing this and you're still like, well, you know, Peter knew what he wanted. Like if she then all of a sudden started to do that, she'd get hated on too. So, and that's the other thing is people are sort of like, oh, she's so hyper involved in this show. It's like the show has had her hyper involved from day one, and people were loving it back last year when she was all clapping about the windmill thing, supporting her son then. And also, she's hyper involved in the show because she's hyper involved in the lead's life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is the bigger issue, which I really want to get into when we start unpacking him and Maddie's now relationship. Yeah. I guess I don't know what to call it. So Hannah Ann goes to the bathroom.
Yes.
There's a photo booth in the house.
I was very confused at who, like, it was a happy couple house, like where they Airbnb.
The party house, I guess.
It's very strange choice. Gigantic, unnecessarily large. Okay. Too big.
Do you remember when Ari broke up with Bekah? It was like maybe like a small 3-bedroom condo, like, and then now he's at some party mansion in the hills.
He's throwing a party there afterwards,
I guess
probably. So. Kylie and Stassi are coming
swollen.
over.
Tyler. Yeah. Hannah B.
To have closure.
Which apparently Hannah Ann said that didn't actually happen. Didn't actually happen. He like asked permission to talk to Hannah B, and then I guess they broke up like right after.
Okay, so of course he then did
closure. What the fuck?
Like closure.
Get a grip.
Handle your shit, my guy.
Yeah.
Like, stop. Oh, I don't know.
So God. He follows her back to the bathroom.
And it's heartbreaking.
She's glaring.
Oh my God.
He goes, I couldn't have imagined this. She goes, imagine me.
Yeah.
I said yes. And I got this.
Shows the ring.
Why didn't you just let me go? Why didn't you just let me go instead of taking this away from me?
And then he was just like, I'm sorry. She's like, all right, sorry for what?
For not being man enough, for being true to your words, true to your feelings.
Oh my God. It's fantastic. It's a movie script. Someone wrote this shit for her.
I know.
But
torn and conflicted Peter.
Couldn't believe this shit. Unreal.
You took the most precious moment I could imagine because you didn't want to let me go or send me home. Yes.
And that is the fact.
That is fact.
Because you were too selfish to let me walk away and send me home. That is the fact. And then she's like, I can't even look at you.
Barb is disgusted, meanwhile, and is nodding as Hannah's talking.
No, but Barb was started to clap during her speech. Literally applauded. Okay. She says, I just need someone who's not going to be torn and conflicted 90% of the time. It's affected. And I love this too. Guess what, Hannah Ann? Hannah Ann's not just making it all about her. Hannah Ann's not selfish. She's looping in everyone. She's like, this is affecting a lot of people, Peter. What you do affects a lot of people. All the women from the Women Tell All are just like in the background. Like, yes. It's affected so many people. Hannah Brown is cheering. Like, everyone is cheering.
And then he's trying to, talk to her. She goes, I don't need anything more from you. You've done enough damage. And then she says, we're done. We're done. I mean that.
Hands him the ring. Here's this.
I got chills. Barb is clapping.
Oh.
Uh-huh. When he tries to talk and say something, he's like, just let me talk.
Literal hand.
You can't be true to your words. She goes something like, your words, you can't be true to them. So why would I hear you out more? You betrayed me and you know it.
I've never heard something like this. And you know what? I want to say this, no shade to Bekah K. Amazing, like beautiful, incredible individual, right? Her Ari breakup, horrific. I wish that Bekah K could have said the same exact thing.
Oh, that's what she was like saying on Bachelor Happy Hour, basically. She was like, I am the only other person who like knows what you went through. And she was like, damn girl.
Jason Mesnick season.
Sure. Mm-hmm. She was like, damn
Which
girl.
was foreshadowing, by the way. Thank you, ABC, for dropping just Jason's season because you knew that this shit was going to happen. It was foreshadowing. You sneaky bastards. Sneaky. Getting in our heads. Ruling the world. Unbelievable.
Oh my.
Oh, and then my favorite line of the entire night. She says, I've been my own rock before, so you don't have to worry about me. I couldn't believe it.
If someone said this shit to me after I broke up with him, I'd be like,
I am so turned on right now. Please take me back. This is so powerful.
Well, and when she said, I'm done and I mean that, I was like, yeah, she better say that, because guess what? If things don't work out with Maddie, this little punk ass is going to be trying to come crawl his way. I mean, just
right back. You know. Well, and then we hear later that he's like was reaching out to her family and all that stuff. Dude, okay. Mm-mm. Well, he takes her out to the car. He tries to hug her. She moves. She adjusts her body away from him, gets in the car, and then he tries to edge into the car, and she literally gives him the palm, and she goes, leave. Leave.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Love it.
So they're back in the studio, and I was thinking too, I'm like, we have had this now. Jason, Ari, and Peter. Has a Bachelorette ever done this before? I don't think so.
No.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Women's Month.
Because men are stupid.
Women's Month.
Like, the Bachelors are dumb and they can't sort through in the moment what's going on with their head and their heart and their dick. And
except the only guys are the men who listen to this podcast, to be honest, because like you guys understand, you know.
No, I said the Bachelors. The Bachelors are the ones that can never fucking, which I understand it's a complicated. You know what the problem is that men compartmentalize. And so on this show, they are compartmentalizing these relationships.
What is that?
And then when they have to choose between all these compartmentalized relationships, it's like,
what does Patty Stanger say? Millionaire Matchmaker.
I
don't know. Don't let the penis do the picking.
So that's what they're trying to really sort through, I think, through the whole season. Yeah. Every single season, they're like, what? Yeah.
They have two heads to think about.
But, you know, I think they are compartmentalizing the relationships and they're not able to cross compare and all this other stuff like women are, whereas we're so typically emotionally webbed.
Yeah, like I've got a full whiteboard set up and we have the pros and cons and we're kind of like, well, he makes me feel this way, but he makes me feel this way.
And we're evaluating it throughout the whole time.
Right.
Which I think provides more clarity in the end when you actually have to pick one person.
Well, Hannah Ann is rocking her revenge extensions. Okay, those revenge extensions are in. They are flowing.
Are those extensions? Wow, she had me fooled. I thought they were her real hair.
I mean, maybe it was real hair. I guess my hair can't grow, so I just assume that everyone has extensions.
I mean, she was looking like a Pantene commercial, full on.
Flawless.
It was crazy.
Flawless. And then when Chris Harrison's talking to Peter, we find out that Peter was thinking about Maddie. So the Maddie thing is coming up, of course.
And that's when he very quickly drops like the Hannah Ann is the most beautiful soul I've ever met. I'm just like, shut up.
Blah, 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 blah. Then do something about it, buddy.
Chris says, was it your feelings for Maddie that got in the way? And he says, a little bit. Yes. Which that's why I was like, I don't know if he had the intentions of going after Maddie. Like, I think that was production trying to sort of wrap things up in a bow or something.
I was also surprised that he didn't, to be honest, go harder in the paint, because he knows that Maddie is backstage watching, about to come out. So you'd think that he'd want his now girlfriend to be like,
I wanted Maddie.
I thought of Maddie.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think the breakup with Hannah Ann was about his conflicted feelings with Maddie, but I also think he just wasn't feeling it with Hannah Ann.
Yeah.
And was having a lot of other issues, obviously,
he
since
let
he was
his
wanting
parents'
to...
opinions get in the way.
And also, yeah, I mean, he was reaching out to, since he was wanting to reach out to Hannah B. I mean, he was all over the place. I think this had so much more to do with than just Maddie.
There was a lot going on. Well, Hannah Ann comes out. Chris Harrison asks if Hannah Ann knew if things were amiss, and
by the way, Barb is still excited to see her and is giddy when she comes out.
She is giddy, and it, you know, your heart breaks in 1,000 pieces, because you know, like, that they're definitely secretly texting all the time. Yes. She's sliding in her DMs always, just like, please.
She was probably like, what do you think of this necklace with this dress for the finale? Probably what Barb was sending to her.
How many times has Barb apologized about her son to Hannah Ann? Every day she wakes up and is like, Hannah Ann, I am so sorry for what my son has done to you.
Hannah Ann's like, I really don't want, I'm going to block you. You need to stop contacting me.
Every day. Hannah Ann, you know how Peter is. You know he'll be back. You know, he can get emotional. He falls hard. You know how
what? We're doing dinner this Thursday. Why don't you just stop by?
Now that you live in LA, why don't you just swing by? Barbara's showing up at Hannah Ann's door, her apartment door, every single week. I baked muffins. Do you want to make pancakes together? Do you want to start calling me mom?
Oh my God.
So, I have my own mom.
I wonder how she feels about Jack's girlfriend. I wish that I could be best friends with Jack's girlfriend and know what she thinks about the family.
Yeah, tell us about Barb. Tell us about Jim.
I'm going to get more into this, but I was very much reminded throughout all of this of an ex's mother who I dated for a year and a half. Okay. And so I'm going to get into that in a minute.
This is fun. Well, Hannah Ann basically saying that she's a full-blown presidential candidate, like straight up. She says that Peter knew exactly what to tell me to keep me with him.
She also said, sure, I knew things were off, but hearing you say you couldn't do it was blindsiding.
Words are powerful, Peter. Either you don't mean what you say or you don't understand the weight of your words and how they impact people. So which one is it? I mean, she was coming
and
for
she
him
also
so hard.
brought up how he said letting me walk. Yeah, she said that after dropping that he said letting me walk away would be the biggest regret of your life.
Oh yeah.
Which, yeah, he's always throwing around shit that he doesn't really mean.
She says that he reached out to her parents after breaking up, saying
God.
that he wished they would have met outside of reality
and
TV.
that he was just processing his emotions. I mean, my God.
I mean, it's a disaster.
What a nightmare.
It's an absolute nightmare.
And it would have worked if we met outside of reality TV. What did I say?
And of course, yeah, you totally nailed that one. And Peter will always stick by the fact that he meant it in the moment. And that's the classic Peter line. And that
when I told you I loved you, I did love you.
Listen, sweetie Petey, that line doesn't work anymore. You can't, in every situation, you can't say that in the moment I felt that way.
And this is the problem. I think you can, like, I know this happened to Ben and other people too. Like, I did love you. And I do think hearts are capable of loving two people. That's not the issue here. The issue here is the proposal. The issue here is making a commitment to commit to someone lifelong.
Well, and again, also, it's kind of like the Victoria F versus Maddie thing, right? Like, the Maddie versus Luke P thing. People, when they were comparing the Maddie and Luke situation, it was like, well, but Luke's had bad behavior the whole time, and then Maddie did the ultimatum, so you can't really completely compare those two.
Sure.
And I feel like that's with this whole Peter situation. It's like, I think in maybe other situations when someone says, yeah, in the moment I did feel that way, and that is real, and you can love two people, and in the moment you can feel some way, and then it can change for sure. We're walking examples of that. We change our minds all the time.
Sure.
But it's more like that's literally all we've seen Peter do this entire season. So it's a Luke P of emotions. It's
true.
constantly he's doing it every single week. He says, well, I did feel that way. I did. Yeah. Or I think I'm in love with her. I think he's all over the place.
And again, it's like the bigger issue here. It just would be so much different, like Hannah Ann was saying, if they just agreed to try to continue the relationship without the whole engagement aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. And my favorite part in this piece of their conversation, which I was like, oh, I'm so glad that she brought this up, is that after Peter says, he's like, I didn't have time to grieve my broken relationship with Maddie. I had 2 days, which you also said yesterday, knocking these out of the park. Hannah says, listen, like, I've always been open and I've always been accepting and honest. And you know that if you sat me down and had an honest conversation, that my instincts would have picked up that you weren't ready to commit.
Ready for a commitment.
And that is the fact.
And she also said you had 2 days to tell me what I was getting myself into.
Yes. And Hannah Ann, this entire process has showed Peter and been, out of all the women, the most supportive of Peter in the sense of, hey, you can be honest with me. I'm going to support you even when you're struggling. Go ahead, go in the fantasy suites. I understand you got to do what you have to do. She's been so supportive. So it's like, and I can only imagine that carried on after. And then he continued to like bring up Hannah Brown or bring up Maddie. And it was like, dude, come on. Like,
yeah,
I've always been open to hearing the truth. And so you now saying like, well, I wasn't able. It's like, no, you just needed to be honest.
And she said this, she said, you didn't respect me enough to sit down and tell me where you were at. Mm-hmm. And he kept her around. He wasn't honest because he didn't want her to leave. And he wanted his little fairy tale happy ending engagement because he believes in the process or whatever the fuck. Like, yeah, it was. And
Barb is still applauding through all of these things live as Hannah Ann is talking.
I know.
And glaring at her son.
Chris says he'll let her have the last word.
Yes.
And that's when she drops the Hannah B tea.
The Hannah B tea was so creamy. Oh my God. And then that's when she said, and now looking back at it, our engagement involved 3 women. Me, you still being in love with Maddie, and needing closure with Hannah B. word of advice, if you want to be with a woman, you need to become a real man.
And that's when Barb is clapping.
And that's when Barb is clapping, and literally the entire US of A is chanting Hannah Ann, Hannah Ann. Everyone, even Maddie's chanting Hannah Ann from backstage. Everybody's chanting Hannah Ann.
And that's where I get the disappointment as a mother thing of like, this is not the son I raised you to be. Okay? Yeah. This is not the son I raised you to be.
And even
be a man of your word.
And also, I know people now, Barb's insane attachment to Hannah Ann after knowing her for 1 hour was nuts. But at this point, what we do have to remember too is that if they were together starting in November, can you to 3 February? Months. Can you imagine over the course of 3 months how much Barb was calling Hannah Ann? Come on, guys. You know that they had quite a tight relationship, I am sure. So she's probably really did fall in love with Hannah Ann and is very upset at her son for breaking Hannah Ann's heart.
Sure. And I would be I just watched the show, you know, and I was just so disappointed in him.
I think that all of America has been shading him and is disappointed in him. So like, of course his own mother's going to be.
Who's the biggest Bachelor fan ever.
Of course.
So now it cuts to when Chris is talking to Madison. Jesus Christ.
Chris Harrison.
God.
Decides to take it upon himself because he can sense, quote unquote, that Peter still has feelings for Madison. So he's just going to show up to Alabama. I mean, Chris officially is like, I'm God and I will craft the situation. It was
like a junior high thing, just the same as when he's like, I'm not sure if he's going to show up. And he's like, just found out he is. Don't worry about it. Just found out she is coming.
Don't worry. I'm going to ask her. Don't worry. Yeah. Oh my God.
So, but this is where the immaturity begins, where Madison.
No, this is where it gets out of control. Are you talking about the Barb end?
The stank face.
Oh, it's like, okay, Barb. I understand. And again, I can't keep my emotions hidden, but please, for the love of God, remember you're on live television. For the love of God, go home and rewatch this and glare and stank face at the TV all you want. But it was literally...
She says...
shaking her head. Like, what did Maddie do for Barb to hate her with an...
Okay. Well, one, she's not Hannah Ann, so she was already destined to lose, you know? I did think it was interesting, which we'll get into. I did think it was interesting, some of the information that Barb shared.
She did share some interesting information, but the level of hatred makes me think that something else went down.
No, I think she's just stuck in her obsession with Hannah Ann and just...
I guess we did see her literally have like a real life orgasm when Peter just told her that he chose Hannah Ann. So I suppose, yes, the feelings are quite intense.
Well, Madison says she couldn't sleep or eat and she's been trying her best not to live in the past, but she can't help it. Meanwhile, Chris.
They're also showing Hannah Ann, which was horrible. Like, I know. ABC, come on. You're not going to make Hannah Ann watch
cool
this.
as a cucumber and was just basically like whatever.
But how painful to watch that. I mean, she knows she dodged a bullet. Which, by the way, this is like that Selena Gomez song, the fairly new one, is the anthem of Hannah Ann.
Which one? What's it called?
Look at Her Now.
I don't know that one. I haven't been listening to Radio Disney lately.
Go listen. I'm sure a lot of you have heard it. And it is Hannah Ann's anthem. And it's literally, she dodged a bullet. Look at her now. Watch it go.
Okay.
It's Hannah Ann's anthem.
Nice.
Anyways.
Hannah Ann Bachelorette 2021. I'm here for it. I'm campaigning. I'm starting now. I'm passing out pins. I'm starting polls. Petitions. So... he says, do you regret what you did? And she said, yeah, I do. I would have done things differently.
Yeah, she said if she was presented with the same situation, she would have done things differently, which my big question was, are you referring to leaving or are you referring to the quote unquote ultimatum? That was a big question to me. Like, would you have just not left and just kind of been like, okay, I'm going to try to truck through this? Or would you have not brought up to Peter the ultimatum? I don't know. Or would you have brought it up earlier? She just said that she was do things differently, but really didn't clarify what she would do differently, which is what I need to know, because that's a very, very important factor in hearing that statement.
Well, she asked what happens after I left, and Chris says, Peter doesn't know I'm here, but he's single.
First he says he got engaged, and Maddie's devastated.
And wait, whoops, sorry. Yes, skip past that.
He literally does the same exact thing to Peter, to Maddie, when he's like, Hannah Ann's not coming. Never mind, she's coming. He goes, he got engaged, but now he's single. It's just like watching people just like handle their emotions. This is a roller coaster. And that's when he says, I don't know that I'm here. And he's now single. He's ended his engagement with Hannah Ann.
That's none of your business to tell. What the fuck?
I know. It's just, the whole thing was so weird.
Don't you find that bizarre? That
it was angering to me to watch it. It was very angering. But then I will say Maddie's immediate response as soon as he said he's single, he ended his engagement with Hannah Ann, her first question was, she goes, is he okay? And that made my heart break. And she loves him.
I was really curious if she watched the thing with Hannah Ann, because I know Lauren never watched the breakup between Ari and Bekah.
What self-control? I mean, you know that I'd be rewatching that shit on a loop. You know that every time that my husband came home and I was upset about him, I'd be like, remember this? I'd be playing clips.
I've thought about this, and like, I know it would be difficult. I think for me, it would be important for me to know what went down.
I feel like I'd need to know. Now, I think there's a difference between knowing and then obsessing, and that would be the fine line for me.
I also see a difference between like, with Ari and Lauren's situation, like they basically got back together like right after he broke up with Bekah. So at the point when the finale's airing, they had already been together and they got engaged like that night or the next night. Okay. Right. Yeah. So it's a little different with Maddie. Like they're definitely still on the, like, and I could see how with Lauren, it's like, it's water under the bridge. We're getting married. I love this man. With Madison, I would want to kind of know what happened.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that she should or shouldn't have, but I think it would have been an important piece of the puzzle to know. Yeah,
I'd be really curious to know. I'm sure she did, because she did with the ultimatum, I think she probably was like, did anything else happen?
Well, no, I mean like actually watched everything play out like we watched on the finale.
Oh. Yeah.
Watched their breakup, watched Hannah Ann's speech, all of that.
Interesting. Yeah. Huh.
I don't know. I'm curious about that.
So, and then, Chris Harrison is like, well, what about you? And she's like, it breaks my heart, but it's good. It's a bunch of things. And then he asks if she's in love with Peter. And she says, I mean, I know that I fell in love with him and those feelings haven't gone away. Which was weird. I thought it wasn't like a direct, like, yes, I am in love with Peter. She was like, well, I fell in love with him and those feelings haven't gone away.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Could have just been like, yes.
Yeah. Yes, I'm in love. I don't know. But it was interesting because, but then she was like, what's going on with him? What happened between now and then?
I also don't love this. I mean, whatever. This is welcome to the Bachelor. I was gonna say, I just don't love this idea either that it's like, well, he's single now and you're in love with him, so go after it. Like,
yeah. No, I feel you.
We don't live in a rom-com. And also,
and if you try to live in one, guess what? Your life's gonna look like Peter's.
Oh my God, ain't that the truth? Well, I just mean it smells like something's burning. I just mean, do you smell that? It's their love. It's just like, I don't know. I think it is an important piece of the puzzle, knowing how the breakup went down with Hannah Ann, because seeing how all that happened and seeing the proposal and everything, if she did see it, that's a pretty big red flag in the relationship.
A huge red flag.
And I would be wondering, is he just in love with me because he couldn't have me?
It is.
This guy's...
It is a weird situation, though, too, because I think when you're in the position of being then the final one wanted, I'm sure there is a little bit of
validation.
You're feeling kind of like, oh, he just couldn't get over me. And Maddie did leave.
Yeah.
So she'd probably be like, yes, he's so in love with me that, did he make the mistake of proposing to Hannah Ann? Yes. And she'd be upset about it, I'm sure. Now, my big question is Maddie going to be upset about, I'm sure, the amount of sex that Hannah Ann and Peter were having after they got engaged?
Fuck, I didn't think about that.
Because
They're spending weekends
if
together,
he's saying that I've loved you this whole time, because he tells her like I've never stopped loving you, like, and I'm sure Peter and Hannah Ann had a lot of sex.
I didn't think about that actually at all. Well, then Chris goes, as much as you have kept him in your heart, apparently he feels the same way.
Dude, Chris Harrison.
But why do you gotta say that? Why don't you just say then, like, why don't you go after it and see where he stands instead of being like, he feels the same way about you?
He circled yes on this little note that he wrote about that he cares about
likes,
you.
He likes you.
He's got a crush on you, like, for real, though. That's what it felt like.
I know.
And then he said he ended his engagement because of his feelings for you, which is also...
Which Peter didn't even admit to him just on stage 5 minutes before. Yes.
Chris Harrison comes down and is just like, he did it because he loves you. And it's like, well, but... I think there were a lot of factors.
Literally, Peter, now pursuing a relationship with Maddie, like you said, is still saying on stage that was a small part of it.
Part of it. And Chris Harrison's like, it was the only reason. He told me it was the only reason. I was like, I can't believe that this is happening. This is so shady.
I know.
Oh my God. Well, and he's saying this, and Barb is furious. They have the Barb cam on her the whole time. And when she sees this interaction with Maddie and Chris Harrison, when she sees Chris Harrison say like he ended his engagement because of you, Barb's face is just like she's about to throw herself at Chris Harrison and literally murder him. You know, she was Chris Harrison's biggest fan before, and now she hates him.
What about Hannah Ann, though? Like, I would be watching that back and be like, what the fuck?
I'd be like, how dare you, Chris? You better be
slimy two-faced.
You better be setting me up with some intense paradise money. You better be giving me some coin to do this if you're going to go and do me dirty like that.
Okay,
oh my God.
And then Chris is basically just like, go get him, girl. Follow your heart, you know? Go after it.
In his dream, he would be with you. His dream would be to be with you. It's just like, what's going on? There's a lot of assumptions
You're really trying
happening.
to force this right now.
God, Chris. And then Maddie says if there was a second chance at this, I'd take it in a heartbeat. She's like, I guess we're going back to LA.
Guess what? Here's your plane ticket.
And my entire time, I'm just like, what happened? Because unless you changed all your opinions, because you left and I thought that you leaving was a really awesome choice.
Good choice.
You have your like, you know, as she calls them, standards that she wants to uphold. They have different lifestyles. She literally acknowledged to Peter in the episode before, I know it's been months, but acknowledged to Peter that yes, indeed, their lives are just too different. And she realized that, and there's just too much that's too different. What happened? What changed? That's to me what was hanging over my head this entire time. I'm like, there's no discussion of
what is
I'm okay with him.
What about her family?
I was dying. I wonder if her family...
They weren't in the audience.
Maybe her family doesn't want to be a part of it. You know how there's... Like,
I don't blame them.
You know how Rachel's dad...
Or my family
Rachel's dad won't do it? Yeah. It's kind of like...
Yeah, I don't blame them for not wanting to be
No, I don't blame it either. My parents literally had told me, I was like, if I ever go on the show, would you go on? And they said, absolutely not. So I was like, okay. But maybe after seeing what's going down... We also didn't see
Hannah Ann's family in the audience either.
Yeah, but he's not with Hannah Ann anymore.
I know. That's true.
So you'd think that her family...
True.
Or I'd think that ABC would want a moment
with a feud
them
between looking at
the
each other.
Pruitts and the Webbers. You'd think you'd want like Hannah Ann, or like you'd think they'd bring Maddie's family out
at
and
least
like
do this
defend.
side by side of their faces, like seeing how they're each reacting to things.
Or even like a live cam of them back in their house in Alabama, and watching it live and being like, how dare you speak to our daughter that way?
How do you think they feel about Peter proposing to another girl, sleeping with both the other women? What the fuck do they think about this situation either? I can't see her family being very happy about this.
Oh, I'm sorry. If a woman that I didn't know was talking about my daughter and treating my daughter the way Barbara has been treating Maddie, I would be livid.
I would also be like, I know my family would be like this too. My mom would be like, yeah, whatever, kind of livid with Barb, but my mom would be more like, you stupid bitch. Like, why are you getting yourself into this family? Why are you continuing on this show? Why are you pursuing this relationship?
Yeah. Yeah, my mom
Look
probably...
at what you're getting yourself into.
My mom probably wouldn't be talking to me, but my dad would just be like, that woman, she will feel my fury. My dad be so angry. Oh my God. Hearing someone talk like that.
Okay, I want to break this down too, because I maybe am having really short-term memory loss.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what exactly which we'll get into. But I was like, what exactly, let's break down what Barb said exactly about Maddie. Which we'll get there in a second.
Let's get there.
So Peter's just casually staged by the pool.
Casual.
It looked like he was holding a rose.
He said that he thought he was going to talk to Chris Harrison.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so he's staged by a pool waiting for Chris Harrison to come in and rock his world again.
Like a sitcom or like a Quentin Tarantino movie, there's this quick pan into his smiling face, this hard zoom. It's like, ding.
He's like, my girl.
When she walks in. Wait, before we get into their meeting.
Oh gosh, they're meeting in Barb's face the entire time. Look, broads, if you're like us, there's a good chance your to-do list is never ending and your days are unpredictable, which we love, but it can make getting ready in the morning difficult. How do you find an outfit that is perfect for wherever your day may take you? So mysterious and exciting. Well, with Beta Brand, it just got much easier.
Oh my God, Beta Brand's dress pant and yoga pants are ridiculously comfortable. And they're stylish, and there's dozens of colors and patterns and styles to choose from on their websites. My favorite are the crop style. They're really cute. I also like the little 6-button high-waisted ones that I have. Because you can wear them when you're running errands, when you're in class, in meetings, out to dinner. And if you have a kiddo to chase after like me, no matter what, I don't feel restricted by them.
And an extra bonus is they stay wrinkle-free always. I wore a pair to a meeting last week that was only 11 miles from my house, but in LA traffic, that was like 90 minutes in the car. Usually that would leave a dress pant wrinkled and looking super sloppy for a meeting, but I swear to God, I stepped out of this car looking like I had put my pants on 30 minutes ago. It was magical. Also, listen, I used to work in an office. No one likes sitting in a chair with a stiff pair of slacks on digging into you all day, especially come time. It's 3 p.m. and you're counting down the hours until you can head home. With Beta Brand, 3 p.m. rolls around and you are crisscross applesauce in your office chair, slamming out those emails, looking sharp and feeling your most comfy.
Also, fun fact, when I used to go from work to the climbing gym, sometimes I'd forget to bring my workout pants and I would literally like have to climb in whatever I was wearing. If it worked.
Perfect.
It would actually work.
Perfect, yeah.
With the Beta Brand dress pant yoga pants.
You could go straight from the office to rock climbing.
You literally could.
Yeah.
Right now, Chatty Broads listeners can get 20% off their first order when you go to betabrand.com/chatty. That's 20% off your first order at betabrand.com/chatty. Millions of women agree that these are the most comfortable pants you'll ever wear to work. Go to betabrand.com/chatty for 20% off.
So I'm a big believer that having a pet in the house makes it more homey and cozy. Plus, they're like built-in little best friends. But the biggest downside can be the smell. They're animals, so just by default, they come with a little bit of a stink sometimes.
Tell me about it. We have 2 adorable cats that were recently adorable kittens, and yes, there are 2 of them, and watching my daughter play with them is the cutest thing in the freaking world. But we mostly keep them indoors, and that means a litter box. And yeah, we do live in coyote country. There was a coyote literally in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Even though we live in the city, it doesn't actually make any sense. But
to keep them
anyway,
safe.
So that means you need a litter box, especially when we go on vacation. And if you've ever had a cat with a litter box, you know how unpleasant that can be. And not only that, but lugging heavy boxes of litter around the store isn't exactly convenient either. So thankfully, we've been using Pretty Litter, and it's made the whole process so much easier.
Unlike traditional kitty litter, Pretty Litter's super light crystals trap odor and release moisture, resulting in dry, low-maintenance litter that doesn't smell, and it's shipped in a small, lightweight bag that lasts an entire month. Also, I know I've talked about this a bunch, but I know a lot of people can get all sorts of sneezy with traditional kitty litter because it is very dusty. Well, because Pretty Litter is made of those lightweight crystals, it's not dusty, and you can say goodbye to all that sneezing. I don't have a cat because my giant dog is a handful as it is, but if I did, this would be my number one choice of litter because Pretty Litter is also and this is huge, a health indicator for your furry friends. The litter changes colors when it detects potential underlying health issues, and you won't find that in any other conventional cat litter.
Make the switch today and do what's best for you and your kitties. Go to prettylitter.com and use promo code CHATTY for 20% off your first order. That's prettylitter.com, promo code CHATTY for 20% off. So Peter's just casually staged by the pool.
Casually. And Maddie just knocks his socks off.
She's like, so I'm here. Chris told me to come.
So apparently you broke up your engagement because of me, correct? That's what Chris says.
I'm sorry, but I have to say, in contrast to Hannah Ann, and again, everyone's gonna be like, you hate Madison. Shut up. But like when she's talking, she's going like, yeah, so my feelings haven't gone away. And like, I know that I still like, I have so much love in my heart for you. And it's just like really...
Whoever thought that Hannah Ann was going to be this eloquent,
articulate
queen? Honestly, I
woman.
still can't get over it.
Now everyone else to me, I'm just like, I can barely even listen to what you're saying.
I don't understand
honestly.
what you're saying because your words aren't Hannah Ann's.
I mean,
I don't, this whole thing, their whole moment together, in my opinion, I don't really understand what's happening. No one's clearing up anything. You basically just find out that Maddie is interested in being with him again, and like he still is in love with her and whatever, but like again, there's no conversation.
Well, and they hug, and did Barb start gagging when they hugged?
I didn't notice. Did she really gag? She was
literally like this. She was like, and I don't know what exactly was going on, but to me in the split second it was kind of dark, but it looked like she was going,
she's like, the spirit of Maddie is returning to my body.
Eyes are rolling in the back of her head.
Well, after they have their moment together, the transition music back from Maddie, did you notice this music? From Maddie and Peter embracing and apparently Barbara gagging back to the studio, you see like the music is literally mischievous. That's the only way I can describe it. It's like, it was like, what? They're in trouble. They're in trouble. That was what that music was.
Well, and the lines too, before that, he said, one of them said, I haven't just fallen out of love for you. And the other person says, so what do we do? And it's like, yeah, so what are they going to do? We still don't know.
We don't know. I still don't have an answer.
They've got to be on interviews this morning, right? Like, have you looked into any of this?
No, we got to start researching.
I know. I haven't really looked into it either.
I haven't so overwhelmed by, all these memes.
I don't think ABC really has like a press plan for them
Probably
necessarily
because they know that it might not sound great. Also, I'm not going to bank on the fact that maybe they trust what's going to come out of Peter or Maddie's mouth in this situation. Because they don't know what they're going to do.
They don't know how they feel.
So they probably,
giving them some pause.
The reason that I think that maybe ABC was having this whole like, let's applaud Peter and but hate on Ari thing is because none of their relationships have worked. So I think they're really trying to force this whole that Peter and Maddie are going to work thing because their process hasn't been working for the past few seasons. So I think they're really pushing
I'm not seeing any press right now except for with Hannah Ann.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all I'm seeing is just coverage of what happened last night. But, normally they put them on a little press junket, which is what happened with Ari and Lauren.
Yeah.
But obviously, like I said, Ari and Lauren were fucking engaged.
Yes, they were officially together, and we don't really know what's going on with Peter and Maddie besides the fact that maybe they're trying to make this work.
Maybe they're together even?
We don't know. I don't know.
I was referring last night when I was tweeting and texting that it was a relationship.
Lane in the audience
to get his ring back from Hannah Ann.
Seriously?
He's like, your contract says.
Neil Lane has come to collect his diamonds.
Your contract says.
Okay, so then back in the audience, Chris Harrison to Peter.
It was just cringe after all the Hannah Ann shit that went down. And Peter's just like smug smiling.
He's smiling.
After the
Chris
clip.
Harrison's making jokes about like, I know you were expecting to see me, but he's like, is Chris Harrison wearing heels again? And like, they're making jokes.
It
and I'm like,
felt in poor taste.
This is all poor taste. He just literally like destroyed Hannah Ann and Barb is fuming. This is not like a great happy moment. And yet somehow we're like, all okay with what's going on.
We found out they haven't seen each other, so I'm guessing they've just been texting and FaceTiming. Like, obviously they've probably had contact with each other.
Well, he says later in the episode, he's like, we've been talking, but we haven't seen each other.
Okay. And then people are just clapping after he says he's still in love with her. They're like, yes! And I'm like, that's so kind of what I was talking about when we're compared to Ari and Lauren. He was like, I had to follow my heart and go with Lauren. And people are like, babe, murder him!
Yeah.
Murder him!
No, literally.
And then he's like, I'm still in love with Maddie. And people are like, yes!
And Maddie comes out and everyone is screaming for Maddie and Peter. And I'm like, what is, and now that you're comparing it to the Ari Lauren situation, I am in shock thinking about
what is happening.
It's
I couldn't
wild.
stop comparing it to that. And I just thought it was bizarre, especially like I keep saying, because yeah.
I mean, like in your season, they had all of you girls come out and like hugging Bekah and like supporting her, and Hannah Ann was left high and dry.
Oh, and all of us were like booing Ari in the audience.
Yeah.
I mean, that shit was brutal.
It was brutal. And then
they had all of us come on and say what we thought about him, and we said horrible things.
They just let Barb take care of it this time.
Exactly.
They're like, we don't want to sully or stir any of our potential Bachelor in Paradise contestants, so we'll just put all the blame on the mother. On the mama.
Also, though, what was interesting about this season, there was only like 3 girls that even really like stood out from the season.
Yeah.
All the other girls were just sort of like filler mush.
It was just all drama, you know.
Isn't that interesting though? Because like on my season, there was Kendall, and there was Bekah, and there was CN, and there was me, and there's sort of like this sort of strong central cast.
Right. Well, there was a lot.
There usually is every season.
Well, you know what I thought was super interesting too is that social media wise, there's way more people involved social media wise during this season, but even so,
it's only like the 2 girls.
Yeah, and the other girls were getting less than girls who were like lower in your season,
or same with
following wise.
Same with like Colton, like Colton season 2. It was like there is Demi, and there was Hannah G, and there was it was like a very strong. There usually is that strong central cast.
Yeah, no, this was odd. This whole season felt really different, and this ending felt very different. So Maddie's out, and I just want to say this too. Yes, Barbara's about to get some shade, but let's be clear. Chris Harrison is meddling just as much as Barbara. Okay.
What did Barbara mouth when Maddie came out?
I don't know. I tried to keep rewatching it.
Someone said twig. Like she's a twig. Like just talking about how thin she is.
That is pretty vicious if that is true.
It's not really, vicious.
I mean, vicious in the sense of like, she's just like, because she's obviously not saying like, wow, look at her. She's looking great.
Her
she's
figure.
Like, look, she's a twig.
She's twig.
She's just like shaming
what
her.
What else could it look like that? What?
I don't know.
What?
Can you imagine? Barbara just got a little filthy mouth.
I don't know. I wanted to know what she said.
Yeah, I tried to keep watching.
Twig is also like a weird, but I guess it's a passing comment to your husband. Like she's a twig.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's so weird. Barbara is actually rolling her eyes at Maddie. And this is where I'm like, okay, Barbara, there is one thing to not be able to like look in the direction of your son and be applauding when Hannah Ann is coming for him, or even the outrageous glares while she's on screen. But while she's speaking and you're actually rolling your eyes, like both you and your son need to get a grip. Like this is out of control.
So Maddie's like, yeah, like the love we have for each other is like so obvious, and those feelings are still there. And I guess they kept them apart for spoilers too, as part of the reason why they haven't seen each other.
Yeah.
No, to not taking any chances. Production isn't. And she says, or he says, one of them says, we're just going to take it one day at a time.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, she says her feelings never went away, and he said, I made 1,000,001 mistakes, but I fell in love with you, and I haven't fallen out of love with you. And again, all I'm doing was literally just yelling, what has changed? Can we get an explanation of what changed? It's one thing, again, let's harken back to Ari's season, right? Lauren and Bekah both wanted to be with Ari. Yeah. One of them didn't remove themselves.
Ari broke up with Lauren.
And then he breaks up with Bekah and comes back to Lauren, and she's like, okay, yeah, I'm still in love with you.
Well, Ari broke up with Bekah with the intention of pursuing Lauren, you know?
Right. But but even let's just say he didn't have the intention of pursuing her. Sure. I'm talking from the women's end, right?
Sure.
They both wanted to be with him.
Yes.
One of them didn't remove themselves because of problematic issues.
No,
Maddie
Lauren
has
was
removed herself for problematic issues. Nothing has changed. And they're trying to make it. So I'm just like, can you guys give us an explanation of what happened? What conversation have you guys had that makes you think that anything's different?
So I thought this was bizarre too, because I mean, I'm skipping ahead, but part of like Madison's clapback is what does she say? Like, I'd never compromised myself this whole time. And I'm like, wait, but
I know.
What? I'm so confused. You're pursuing this relationship with him. So what's going on?
This is my thing, is that like, now, let's just say she's never compromised herself, like in her beliefs. Great. On the show, it didn't seem like she did. But until she was kind of like, I'm going to leave. And then she didn't at first.
Sure.
But she ended up leaving. People, their opinions can change. So maybe over the past couple months, Maddie has now been like, hey, I've changed my mind. If he wants to be with who he, you know, I'm going to accept that. I have now these things that I'm holding out until marriage, but I'm okay with his lifestyle. I'm okay. And now all of a sudden she's okay with all that stuff. Then, okay, that's fine. You can change your mind. You're completely allowed to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there wasn't that statement of like, you know, yes, did I have these feelings before?
Okay, wait, didn't Chris ask her, like, would you have changed the ultimatum or no? Does that not ask?
I don't think so.
I wish he had asked, like,
would
you, like, do you wish you had done it differently? Do you feel differently about what happened?
Yes.
Because that's what I'm wondering.
That was the
like
important question. And I think it was the same exact thing that I think ABC did with the whole Victoria F situation. They want her in paradise. Seems like they like her. So they didn't really push with the whole, sleeping with all the husbands thing, right? Like they did with a Jed, like more of a Jed type situation. Yeah. But I think that they didn't push Maddie's decision or like what they're doing because they want a love story to end this. They want a love story to come out of this because they haven't been getting one. That's why I think they avoided it. Or else, please, Chris Harrison himself, the drama stirrer, I feel like he would have started to stir the pot more and asked like, so are you okay with Peter having been intimate with people now? Like Peter like, have you guys talked about this? Like, what's going on? Did you just accept his apology? Like, there was zero clarity. Zero clarity.
I don't know. Well, so and then at this point, Chris directs it to Barb. Yeah. From where we left off, before we digressed. Because they said we're just going to take it one day at a time, and then after that, didn't Chris ask Barb?
Yes. Or no, he says he then asks, oh, are you in love with Maddie? And Peter's crying. Yes.
Okay.
And yep. Yes.
Okay. So this first part, what?
Okay, so we forgot. So Chris Harrison then says, so are you on the same page? I still don't know what's going on. Chris Harrison asked that. And Peter then says, we have to heal a lot, and we have both been extremely hurt, but you know the love and respect I have for you. And
just like the love and respect you had for Hannah Ann. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is like important. What happened with Hannah Ann?
It's so important. And then that's when Chris Harrison says, do you want to give this relationship a real shot? And then Peter says, we both know how we feel for each other, but I think we're just going to take it one step at a time. Maddie, I don't know if you picked up on this, clearly looked annoyed to me. Like she looked like irritated. This is where I noticed Peter.
Like they're not holding hands.
They're not holding hands.
Touching.
My guess
they're not
is
even
that
sitting close to each other.
My guess is that Maddie probably was hoping that Peter was going to be like, we are together. But he was kind of like, well, we know how we feel about each other. We're going to take it one step at a time. They did not define the relationship on stage. Peter was not like, Maddie is my girlfriend. We're looking to get engaged. Like there was no definition of what was going on.
Have you seen if they've like posted?
Maddie, at least before I came to your house, Maddie had not posted.
Or
Hannah Ann had posted in a pilot's outfit, which was incredible, flying solo.
And then what about Peter? I'm looking right now on
Peter has not posted. Peter has not posted, and it is the next day. It's Wednesday. Right now it's Wednesday at 1 p.m. broads, which is the day after afternoon.
Because normally
they
would post and be like, love wins or whatever the fuck.
Well, Colton posted that.
Yeah, I think so did Ari and Lauren.
Oh my God, guys. You guys, love wins isn't yours, okay? Stop.
Leave something for the gays, okay?
Come on.
Yeah, so like this is
posted.
Normally the time where you're like, this journey, like, God bless the broken road, led me straight to you, or some kind of like lyrics even like, or something.
Thank you for supporting us through our journey. We're still working through things, but we have so much love for you, Bachelor Nation. And a photo of them together. They've been radio silent.
Is it already over?
The question is it over? I'm telling you, Maddie looked annoyed.
I didn't pick up on that.
Maddie she was doing this next to him with the lip. And was like, her body language, she was annoyed when Peter.
I mean, they were like 2 feet apart.
When he wasn't defining
it.
Also, when Mama Bear was coming for Maddie at one point, and Peter then acknowledged, like, I know that you guys love me, but didn't really stand up for Maddie. I watched her face too, and she was just kind of like, I'm like, it's already starting. It's already starting. He's going to choose his family. And he's not going like, hey, you guys, this is really inappropriate. Like, I mean, he batted back a little bit, but it was like, yeah, I don't know.
Peter's going to be
Grayston
on Paradise.
Just said Peter will be on Paradise. He totally will. You're so right. He's going to do like an opposite Nick Viall thing. Like do the switch. Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor,
okay,
Paradise.
So then Chris asks Barb.
Yes.
Okay, so again, here I go. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to piss everyone off.
Do it, girl.
But okay, so in this part, I felt like Barb in this very first section, like she was addressing, not talking about Madison, but more defending her reaction from the night before, because I think she's been in her DMs. I think she's been on the internet. I think she's tweaked out about how people
she's getting
feel
a lot of heat
about how she reacted the night before. So I felt like this first part, like, it had nothing to do with what was going on stage. It was like her addressing her behavior from the night before and trying to explain that.
Yes.
And I didn't even feel like that really was like her even talking to Madison or to them. She was just like, listen, America, this is why I acted the way I did last night.
I am justified.
Yeah, right. So, because she starts unpacking, she starts it out with, I've got a lot of love in my DMs.
By the way, it's word vomit. She won't stop. She's on a roll.
Well,
she's like, I have a lot to say.
She talked about Hannah embracing her with love.
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah,
She was so organic, so loving towards me. Maddie is sitting there. This is so rough. I am squirming.
So she's talking about how Hannah was so great. And then she starts laying this out about Madison.
So she's like, Hannah Ann was amazing. And then the next day, Madison comes.
Madison had us wait 3 hours for us to come in because she didn't want to see us. When she did come in, we didn't get an apology. She said she was not madly in love with Peter and she wouldn't accept a proposal. You didn't, blah, blah, blah. You didn't see that.
Maddie's
blah,
face
blah, blah.
looks like she's going to murder Barbie. She's also winking
expecting.
at people in the crowd because she's trying to like keep like, when you're holding yourself back.
She was
and you
winking.
Well, yeah, there was like a couple, there was definitely someone in the corner that she kind of does this kind of like nod, like, I know, I see you. Yeah. Hello, this is happening.
So this first part, to be honest, I didn't have a lot of issue with. I was like, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, does it suck to be mad in this situation? But I mean, she's saying Maddie made us wait 3 hours. She said she wasn't in love with my son. She said she would not accept a proposal. I mean, yeah, it hurts that she was laying out all the things she loved about Hannah Ann, but she didn't really like attack anything. In that one moment, I didn't feel like she was like attacking Maddie's character or like who Maddie was. She was saying that wasn't what we were expecting. You didn't see all that play out when she said she wasn't madly in love with Peter and that she wouldn't accept a proposal, that she made us wait 3 hours, that we didn't get an apology from her. I was like,
yes, she was basically like, this is the reason that I had a sour taste in my mouth about Maddie. And then Hannah Ann was the opposite. Now, I think that in this situation, yes, I know it's coming and I then feel very differently, but I felt similar in this portion. I was cringing to death. If I would have been Maddie, I would have been starting to cry for sure.
Yes.
I would have been fully, not starting to, I would be sobbing and feel like so embarrassed being on stage and having this happen. And I'd be really angry at Barb listening for sure. But But again, with the amount of then people being like, how dare she involve herself, whatever, what I would beg everyone to remember is Peter is bringing all this on himself. Peter made the choice that his parents, they didn't hold a gun to his head. They Barb manipulated him, but Peter made that decision himself. He's 28 years old, excuse me. And he lives with his family. He did what his family told him to do. Of course, his mom is going to be sitting there throwing shade. This is part of
and again, Peter's it's not appropriate because what she is essentially doing is, like I said, trying to explain why she reacted the way this isn't about them. It's about her. It's about Barb right now.
Barb is defending
Barb is defending
her case as the love of Bachelor Nation's life. Everyone has always adored Barb. We have treasured her, and now all of a sudden we are turning on her, and she does not want us to turn on her. I
also have to imagine that I would be pissed if I look like a nut job saying that Madison isn't here for you, bud, blah 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 blah. And then being like, you didn't see her say that she wasn't going to accept a proposal, that she wasn't madly in love with my son.
Yeah.
Like that she didn't come in and apologize after making us wait 3 hours. Yeah. Like I can understand being like, but not appropriate to talk about it here on this platform.
No, that's the thing. It's like, hey, this is a conversation that you need to have with both of them. And as much as you want everyone to know, I am in the right, guess what? You're probably a 60-year-old, late 50s, 60-year-old woman. Let's have some maturity. This is about your son. Are you disappointed in him? Yes. Do you like Maddie? No. But just remain. Yeah. Still have the conversation off camera.
Well, and I'm like, I can get it though, where you're like, I looked like a crazy fucking mom.
Oh, for sure.
And like, I was just hating on Madison for no reason, but you all didn't see what I saw there. And then even Jim...
She's not used to getting a bad edit.
Even Peter says, Senior, says like, you don't see everything on TV.
Yeah.
So granted, he's always going to take his wife's side, but
of course, so he wants to get that car sex.
After that, so that was the first. That was just the first part, and like I get it that this would be very upsetting to hear as Madison, all that. I didn't feel like this part directly was like an attack on her character, any of that kind of thing. I felt like she was laying out what happened in an inappropriate way, yes. But I really, and I know a lot of people disagreed with me, I really took issue with like I just thought it was dumb is what I mean. Like the way there's no good way to respond to this, but it's dumb when you're now trying to if she is trying to pursue a relationship with her son, which I guess that may not be the point, the case. But she said, I mean, the start of this is, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and I can't change the past. I'm like, whoa, that's your okay. Yes. That's your immediate response is, it is what it is. That's basically like, fuck you, I'm not apologizing for any of that.
I have two feelings about this. Yeah, this whole thing, because I
was just like, just at least start it with like, I'm so sorry I made you wait, and if I gave you the impression that I was being disrespectful.
Yeah.
However, and then launch into your
yeah, thing. You have to have one quick little like, I'm sorry if you felt that way.
Acknowledge it.
But right.
Just acknowledge it. And just acknowledge it.
Because of course, Maddie has every right to feel like, what the hell is happening right now? You are literally coming for me on national TV.
This is what I would do. You can have both. You can say, hey, I'm really sorry if you felt like I disrespected you on that day. That was not my intention at all. I love your son, and I hope you can see that as time goes on. That distraught. I am here, that I was there for the right reasons, and I was there for your son. Mm-hmm. I really don't appreciate that through this, you have not given me a chance, and that you immediately sided with this other woman without even getting to know me or know where I'm coming from or know how I feel about your son. Ooh. Because then you're setting, people are like, what? She's just going to let her Barb walk all over her? No, you acknowledge, you apologize, and then you set the boundary, and you do both. Instead, it to me, it came off as this very arrogant, like, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I can't change the past. I came into this journey saying that I'd be myself and I wouldn't compromise, and I never did that. And I'm proud of that, which was basically like, fat middle fingers to his parents.
And what I felt like too is I would have felt very different about this situation if it would have been let's just say Peter never proposed to Hannah Ann, and then he ended up just choosing Maddie.
Yes.
And Barb is still hung up on Hannah Ann.
I agree with that.
And then I'd be like, you know what? Fuck you, Barb.
Right.
Like, I'm here. You know I'm here. I love your son. You're just running. But here's the thing. Literally, Hannah Ann just walked off stage. He chose Hannah Ann.
Yeah.
He proposed to Hannah Ann. Hannah Ann got to know his family for numerous months. So as much as Barb is being a crazy, like, is being so inappropriate and super annoying, the best thing you can do is like defend yourself, but also acknowledge what's going on.
Well, she also said though, like, but in this case, after what Barb said, the only way to defend herself would be to explain like why she was 3 hours late and why she said she wasn't in love with her son and why she said she wouldn't accept a proposal. Because Barb didn't attack anything about her up until this point.
But this is my question: is what would her answer really be if her and Peter really even haven't worked out if her feelings change about what happened? Or if her feelings have changed.
Sex thing?
Yeah, I'm just saying we still don't, like, this whole thing in general is just ridiculous.
Then I would just say the thing of
not
like,
ridiculous, but like it's crazy because we still haven't acknowledged why now all of a sudden they think it's going to work.
Sure. So
it's kind of like,
granted, yes, but it's like when she said that whole thing of like, I came to this journey and said I'd be myself. It's like, Barb wasn't even talking about that. Barb didn't talk about the fucking sex thing. Then she talked about the events that went down that day, didn't even actually acknowledge the sex thing at all. And then Maddie's throwing back like, I said I wouldn't compromise myself. I'm like, that's your response to her saying that like you made her wait 3 hours and yada, 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 and didn't say, and I'm like, well, how is that? Like, what? And she's like, I wouldn't compromise who I am.
Who's Barb, the Queen of England? You made me wait for 3 hours and didn't acknowledge me. I was exhausted after my travels. I have so much going on.
I mean,
I felt like what I was watching was a complete shit show with everyone. Barbara was out of line. I felt like Maddie wasn't handling it correctly.
Felt like that.
Peter is being just stupid Peter. Chris Harrison is meddling. No one's explaining what's going on, and it's just a shit show.
I just felt like that response was, one, not even really addressing what Barb was saying and just throwing this thing because Madison's now just, she made it about like her standards again, and it's like we weren't even talking about your fucking standards.
They're not even bringing it up in this episode.
No,
we want answers about it.
Exactly.
Bringing it up.
And she's just like, I said I wouldn't compromise, and like that's that. And I was just like, both you, Madison and Barb, have your heads so far up your own asses. Like someone's gonna have to pull it out. And guess what? You know the person who's not going to have to ultimately? Barb.
Facts.
And so this is where I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because I was in not quite as dramatic of a situation. No, not at all. But I dated someone who had a very heavily involved mother, and he still lived with his parents.
Okay.
And you could see it right off the bat. She ran the roost. And she didn't really like me right away because different reasons than Barb. It was just the whole thing about, this is my baby boy and no one's good enough for my baby boy and you're taking him away from me. Mm-hmm. And that kind of whole narrative, not explicitly said, but that kind of vibe. She would like still do his laundry. He was like 23 or 24. Even when he moved out, he would come home and bring his laundry for her to do.
Yeah.
You know, that whole thing,
yeah.
You know, but you realize very quickly, like almost immediately, or at least I felt this way, and whatever, you can think that I'm like compromising myself or whatever, but I was like, if I'm going to make it work with this guy, then I'm going to have to kiss his mom's ass.
Well, I think a lot of people do that with their in-laws. I think it's a pretty typical thing.
And it's like, no, you do need to set boundaries.
And you need to stand up for yourself.
You need to stand up for yourself. But if you're just going to come into this blazing attitude of like, fuck you, he loves me, like you are not going to get very far.
It's just not going to work.
And you know who wins out in the end? The mother. And that's the thing. I was like going through my DMs and people are saying like, well, you know, like sometimes when you love someone, you end up setting boundaries with your family. I'm like, okay, wait, pause. Peter lives with his parents.
Well, that's the thing.
He does not have any boundaries with his family. That's the thing.
Boundaries with families and in-laws are so important for so many reasons. And also...
Well, I mean, Barb is pretty manipulative, and I get that. But I think the reason is irrelevant. What's relevant is that Peter is not going to set those boundaries with his family.
Barb is manipulative. Peter has chosen to still live at home.
Yeah. And so, Peter started out the season saying, my family is everything. It's the reason we've seen them the first date with Maddie was at his parents' vow renewal.
So it's like, is this right?
What are you expecting?
But what did we expect?
I genuinely think that Madison thinks that if they're going to stay together, well, you know what? This is what's going to happen. If they stay together and if one of them can't humble themselves, which it is going to have to be Maddie, Barb's not going to do it. And do I fault her for it? Yes, absolutely. I'm just stating facts. That's how it's going to go down. Like, if someone's going to have to
go Barb. You do you, Barb.
If someone's going to have to compromise, it is going to have to be Maddie. Barb's just not going to do it.
Well, and
that's
I think,
just the fact.
I think for the most part, most people who are married know that that's a lot of times just what you have to do.
Yeah, but I was also just going to say, like, what's going to come to a head if one of them can't humble themselves, aka Maddie, what's going to happen is someone's going to give an ultimatum. It's either going to be Maddie or it's either going to be Barb. One of them is going to say, it's either me or them, or me or her, or whatever. And you know who's he's going to pick? It's going to be his family.
Yes, and that's not always the case, but we're talking about Peter.
We're talking about Peter.
We're not talking about this is not a generalization, people. This is not like all men will always pick their family. It's like, no. We're talking about Peter.
This is like the sex thing.
Yes.
Again, when people are like, well, but the other bachelors, I'm like, we're talking about Peter. Peter with the condom in the car, sex in the windmill 4
times. Yeah.
This is who we're talking about. Anyway, so... then she gets real
oh my god
crazy.
Oh my god.
And Peter doesn't really do much for Maddie. Well, he's just like, hopefully they can give her a chance.
Maddie then though does say, she's like, I'm not a mom, so I don't know what it's like. I have love and respect for Peter, so I have love and respect for his family.
And I would never say anything negative.
And then she goes, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think, Peter? And she literally was like, can you take this goddamn baton, Peter? She literally looks at him because Chris Harrison goes,
"This is the beginning
what do you
of
think?"
it.
And she's trying to keep herself composed. And again, I gotta say, did I think that, like, I completely agree with what you're saying about Maddie, but if I was in Maddie's position, I think I would either be 1, a raging bitch to Barb, or 2, sobbing. It would be one of the two things.
I would be sobbing, and then I would be sobbing, and I would be a raging bitch to Peter.
Well, yeah, that too. How dare you?
Because I would be really I think I actually in the moment, like thinking about it later and watching it back, I think I would be furious with Barb. I think in the moment I would just be sobbing and would just be like, this is so unfair.
Well, when Maddie then tries to be like, okay, I just want you guys to know I have love and respect for your son, so I have love and respect for you guys, even though we don't see eye to eye, obviously. And then literally goes, I don't know. What do you think, Peter? Like, take this, dude. Your mom is giving a laundry list of my drama, and Peter is not at one moment going, hey, Mom, you know what? You didn't know. You say we didn't see everything on TV. You don't know what Maddie and I were having a conversation with for 3 hours before. I was pushing Maddie to keep talking. Like maybe Peter was the reason they talked for 3 hours.
Exactly.
And he's not standing up.
Saying. And so it begins.
And then you see Barb whispering to Jim, and I believe, was this when she whispered in Spanish something? No, not yet. But she's whispering something to Jim, and then Peter kind of stands, when Maddie passes the baton to Peter kind of stands by his folks. He says that they love me, and I know that they love me, and their biggest concern is that they were worried that you weren't here for me like I was there for you. And I'm like, okay, so after all this, you're siding with your family on national TV,
of course,
as Barb is tearing down your potentially new girlfriend.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
So that's why, broads, Bekah and I are like, yes, Barb, so inappropriate, but Also, Peter?
Hello. 28-year-old Peter. And also Maddie, like, that's what I'm just saying is like, hello, which maybe she's already figured out after last night.
Seriously.
That could be exactly what's
that might have been it.
Is like, hello, this is what you're getting it's not just, which she did say, like, at the end of the day, it's about Peter and me. And I'm like, and the other 3 people that he lives with who are very, very involved in his
Peter
life.
goes, Mom and Dad, I know how she feels for me and how I feel for her. Give her that chance and trust me, give it time. And I'm like, this is not a conversation that should be happening on a live stage. This entire conversation should be, behind closed doors, which, by the way, to me made it very obvious that this exact conversation has happened 12 times already in the past month. And it's happening now again on stage.
Yeah.
The level of heat that was there already was like, oh, this argument has been going on for weeks now. Mm-hmm. And now they're just having it for the first time publicly. Mm-hmm. I felt like I was literally at a uncomfortable family dinner.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And that's going to... It's just going to be... I Instagrammed this out last night, but it's just going to be so... stressful and emotionally draining for everyone involved.
And that's when, oh my God, when Barb was like, we all want the best for him, Chris. Let me tell you, you two totally different people. This was so inappropriate.
What'd she say?
When she said,
I don't remember.
We all want the best for him, Chris. Let me tell you, these are 2 totally different people. One was willing to compromise. The other was not. To me, you both need to compromise. She fully doesn't even say Hannah Ann versus Maddie's, like, doesn't even acknowledge Maddie's.
Okay. I misinterpreted this. Is she talking about 100%?
Maybe she's talking about Peter.
I thought she was talking about Peter.
Either way, it's completely inappropriate. You're literally, it's just like, dude, this is out of control now.
Yeah.
Like, you are like, this wench in front of us would never. And it's like, oh my God, this is wild. Chris is smirking. He's like, this is the best live television we've ever had. And then Barbara says, during the show, only one gave her heart. And it was just like, okay.
I didn't even catch. I don't know what I was doing during this point, but I didn't catch this.
But that's then when Maddie says what you were talking about, where she said, I disagree. This isn't just Peter's journey. Yeah. When you sign up, you come on the show, you're looking for love. You're looking for love too. This wasn't just Peter looking for his wife. I get as a mother, you're thinking about him, but this is my journey too. It isn't just about Peter choosing me. It's about me choosing Peter. And honestly, I really appreciated that because I feel like this is a smack in the face. Like, hey, you know what, Barb? And this is where probably people would disagree with me and be like, how dare you speak about your son like that on live TV? But if I would have preferred if Maddie would have come out and been like, Barb would have been like, you know what, Maddie, I really apologize for the way that I was initially speaking about you. I had just kind of unsavory opinions just because of the way that we initially met at first. But you know what, all that I can say is I am disappointed in some of my son's decisions, and it's not about you. This is about me.
It is about her though.
That's
the thing. It is about her.
And that's my biggest problem with Barb is that it's like, yo, this is your issue. This needs to be your issue with your son.
She dropped? What about that shit she dropped about Madison though? I know it seemed petty
to me. It seems,
but also
petty
she
to
hasn't
me.
met her since then.
No, I get that she was like, I don't know how I feel about you, but I'm also just kind of like, listen. I mean, this it just feels petty. It's like she was late, and then she said she wasn't going to say yes to a proposal, which, by the way, she still hasn't.
Right.
So she's like, I love him. I love your son. I just don't think I'm ready to say yes to an engagement. So it just feels petty to me.
Yeah, I was contrasting this with some of the stuff that Hannah Ann said, where she was just basically like, and she clarified this when I was listening on the podcast this morning. She was like, I wasn't giving him a hall pass when we had that conversation Fantasy Suites week, but I was saying, like, bigger picture, I want you to focus on you and like do what you need to do in order to get clarity over this situation, and that this is your journey. And I get Madison saying that, like, it's not just his journey, but Madison has, for the past few weeks, made this all about her journey. And it, like, in some ways has imposed her journey upon him when, like we've been saying, that's not the show that she fucking came on, and she knew who he was.
I think maybe we have 3 people who are just caring about their own personal journey. Maddie, Peter, and Barb. And Chris Harrison. And Hannah Ann's the only one who's like, I'm trying to.
That's really what's going on. And like, I think, yeah, obviously Barb is selfish and she just wants someone to make pancakes with, and she also just wants to be right, and she just wants to feel vindicated, which is extremely selfish. Peter, we know you already went into it this episode, and I think Maddie is selfish too. I think all three of them are very concerned with their own little personal bubble and personal world, and it's about them.
I think they want what they want in each of the relationships.
I don't think either of them want to compromise. Any of those
Agreed.
three.
No, none of them want to compromise.
Peter doesn't want to compromise. Obviously, he wanted to have his cake and eat it too, and fuck everyone and still get with Maddie, which he got.
Peter had the last laugh in this one, man.
Madison is going to continue, if they continue in this relationship, trying to hopefully mold him into the person that she wants him to be, even though she knows that he's not that person. And Barb
is just going to full out strike.
Barb is just going to be Planet Barb.
Oh my God. Well, and then the final moment when Chris Harrison goes, well, how do you move forward, Barb? And Barb says, Chris, he's going to have to fail to succeed.
And you know what? So is Maddie. And honestly, that like she was saying it as a dig to Maddie, but both Peter and Maddie are going to have to fail to succeed.
And I think so's Barb. But I think
she's too fucking stubborn and up her own ass, like I said. Because she doesn't have to. She's got her husband, and she's always going to get her way in the family.
It already happened for Barb. She pushed who she wanted too hard, and she failed.
True. Because of Hannah Ann.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that they actually learn something as a family from this experience, but...
And then it doesn't just destroy them.
No, I don't think it will, but I think they do love each other, and there's a lot of manipulation going on, but their family sticks together.
Barb continues. The audience, everyone is shook. America is shook. The audience is shook.
No one's clapping.
Chris, and then they start booing after she says, Chris, all his friends, all his family, everyone that knows him knows it's not going to work. So we just need to help him. Would we want
fuck, I don't know how I missed this either.
And then she goes, and then everyone starts booing. And she goes, would we want it to work? Yes, sure. Because everyone starts booing. Oh no, it was so vicious. And it was just like, again, you're on national television. What is wrong with you, Barb? And then that's when Peter starts getting a little hot, and he's like, I'm telling you, I love Maddie, and that's enough. And then that's when Chris says, Dad, what's your take on this? And that's when Barb says to Jim under her breath in Spanish, and people are telling us this. Now, I can't speak Spanish, so I don't know exactly, but they're saying what she said to Jim in Spanish was, say something bad, help me. Because the audience is booing her. So she's like, you better have my back, you son of a bitch.
Say something bad?
Say something bad, help me. It was something like that. Say something negative about her. Help me. Help me.
Okay.
Or negative about the situation. Yeah. And that's then when Jim, trying to be a little more diplomatic was like, honestly, I hate the situation. And it's telling me that there are so many obstacles. And he said kind of exactly what we said. He said, there's so many obstacles to get to. There were so many obstacles to get to this point. And you hadn't even started the relationship. Yeah. Anyone would understand that there's so many differences to overcome. When you're just getting into a relationship, the beginning should be the brightest spot, and it was anything but that. And I was like, that's what we said the other day. Like, this is too hard too soon. Yeah. The hardships can come, after the little honeymoon moments, right? But like the fact that there's this many hardships already, it's rough. And it's, that's no shade to Maddie. It's literally just like, yo, I don't think this is your person. Yeah. And it's shade to Peter because now Peter, I do not stand anymore. And he's like, also, I want my wife to keep sleeping with me. And because he knows he does not want the wrath of Barb. Lord knows, we have seen. And then Maddie's kind of like, this is about me and Peter's journey, and just him and I should be talking about this. And that's literally how they leave it off. And that's all we get. And they haven't posted, and we know nothing, and we know no details. And they didn't even officially, they didn't kiss. They didn't do anything. They just yelled, and it was a gigantic shit show. And I say ABC, now it was a wild, crazy ending, but it's just like,
it just sucks.
Just another one bites the dust.
I know.
It's brutal.
I know. I'm trying to see if Maddie's tweeted about anything either. No, she just replied to her dad.
Oh, sad. It's just, oh gosh, it's just terrible. And I would be literally, if I was in Maddie's situation and I was sitting up there and having experienced what I walked into, I would literally, it would be done in that moment because I would feel traumatized. I'd be like, I just was put on stage and just got like verbally assaulted by his mother. And yes, was everyone booing her? So obviously everyone had Maddie's back in the situation, but it's still just like traumatizing. This is insane. And Chris Harrison's
got to be
like,
over because of that.
I knew going to Madison's house was the right decision.
Barb's going to get her way because it's like, it very well could be that they're not together because of how shit went down.
Yeah.
Last night.
Oh my God. Barb already got her way.
So quickly.
Dude, that was a quick turnover.
She's like,
She's like, America may hate me, but I have my son back. And family's what matters. Well, then we end up getting a little...
I'm like, I know this is all emotionally exhausting.
I know, I'm exhausted from it. It was not the upper that I was really hoping to end the season
That's why I said it was like just kind of like the worst.
Yeah.
It was like good and entertaining in a twist, but also like just the worst.
There was nothing redemptive about it except Hannah Ann. And I really wish they would have put Hannah Ann on the back end so that they would have like picked us up at the end and not just like beaten us with all of the Barb and Maddie drama and Peter being Peter.
That's the thing. I just don't like the three of them at all.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan either. Not a huge fan. Well, Maddie and Hannah Ann will both be on Paradise. And maybe Peter to make since they're not going to have stagecoach drama, why don't put all three of them on Paradise?
God.
Really bring the drama.
Oh my God.
But we get a little intro to Claire, our new bachelorette, excuse me.
Yeah, which I think were we supposed to meet some of her guys?
The Barb drama took up too much time, apparently. And one of the guys is Tyler Cameron's like BFF. I think it's Matt. Yeah, Matt, who's like seems super cute and he's very handsome. And so I'm very excited to see him on the show. I'm sure he'll end up in Paradise. And Claire's looking dude, she's just adorable to me. And yes, she's over the top. She's looking for love. And I think that's what's going to make her such a good bachelorette because like her whole like, this is my time is so real.
Yes.
It's just, she means it with every like fiber of her being.
So like thrilled
just
and surprised,
gleaming,
completely
shocked.
Surprised.
And then we get a clip from Juan Pablo's season and we have an exit that actually kind of echoes a Hannah Ann
vibe.
I think that maybe that's why they chose Claire because they weren't going to pick Hannah Ann.
But they also didn't know how shit was going to go down with Hannah Ann.
But they saw,
I guess they filmed
in
that.
February. Yeah. They saw her exit, her initial exit.
I can't believe they didn't cast her after that exit. I think they must have been wanting to bring around like the older crowd again because Claire is really the older option.
Unless maybe Hannah Ann didn't want to do it. I mean, there's always that. I doubt it, but there's always that option. Maybe she's kind of like frustrated.
Hannah Ann, I didn't see it reported that Hannah Ann was even considered.
No, but they also wouldn't have reported that because it would have spoiled.
True.
But maybe that's why she wasn't even considered because they didn't even want to.
Actually, maybe because they didn't want production involved and they didn't want to spoil anything. You're right. You may be right about that.
But at the same time, you'd think that maybe they would just wait to have announced it after the final rose.
True.
But anyways, I can't believe what we just watched.
I'm glad it's all over. You know,
it went by really fast. It was a good season. And I'm actually extremely disappointed because you and I were confident going into this that Petey Pie would find his forever. And I am sorely disappointed in him. I'm sorely disappointed.
He kind of is worse off than when he started.
Like 100%. He's literally wounded. He literally has a scar.
Hopefully he did learn something from it about like this commitment thing and
it doesn't seem like it because he did end up doing all that shit with Hannah and now with Maddie he's not really like seems like he's not like yes she is my woman. There's just a lot that's I don't know. There's just a lot. There's a lot of layers. Well, broads, I really hope that Claire's season we actually see
a proposal and if that will pan out.
Blossom.
Me too.
I want another wedding.
Me
Come
too.
Come on.
Paradise is around the corner.
If we end up getting paradise.
Holy fuck. It's going to be Bachelor in Paradise in Santa Monica is what's going to happen.
Paradise
what if they host the whole thing in the studio? It's just all in the ABC studio lot.
It's literally like, it's like, it's like a science project. They're just like, we're going to watch them and like, yeah. Which always kind of makes me feel like it looks like a science project. Like very Truman showy.
Yeah, exactly.
They could totally do that.
They could totally fake cabanas.
That would
UV
be
lights so they get sunburned.
That would be incredible. Well, broads, I just want to say thank you for going on this journey with us. Yes. We love you all. We appreciate you all. We do want to do a quick little shout out.
Oh my God, yes.
Speaking of non-proposals, let's talk about actual love. We had one of our broad bros send us a message and let us know that him and his name is Ethan and his girlfriend Shelby, they started dating a year ago and they are huge Chatty Broads fans and they listen to every single episode. And Ethan was so sweet and he wanted to let Shelby know happy anniversary. He treasures her.
Do your love line voice.
He treasures her. Shelby, this is Jessica. Ethan wants you to know how much he loves you. Waking up to your beautiful, bright eyes, the smell of your hair, the sound of the ocean in your voice. He wants to spend the rest of his life with you. I think. He does.
This is not a proposal.
He says he loves you, not a proposal, but he loves you so much and he just can't wait to spend more and more time with you and he adores you and you should see the long, beautiful letter that he wrote for you. Ethan, you gotta show Shelby what you sent me. It's absolutely beautiful.
Shelby,
so
if you're out there listening,
Shelby, it sounds like you really you chose better. You didn't get yourself a Peter.
This is Delilah signing off. Shelby and Ethan, thank you for being listeners of the show.
Thank you so
much. Thank you for tuning in and giving your support.
And Chatty Broads, please remember, if you enjoyed this season, rate us 5 stars.
Smash that 5-star button.
And please subscribe
to our podcast.
Subscribe, because guess what? We're starting Love is Blind recaps.
Woo! Baby.
Next week. Tuesday episode, Love is Blind recap. Thursday episode, Love is Blind recap. So follow along. We are so excited and we're about to just start a whole new flight, baby.
Oh, broads.
Let's do this thing. Broads.
Chat soon.